Chapter 1153. What? How is this possible? Initially, these people were disdainful when they saw the other party attack. This was because the person who attacked was not the lady in white, but another youth who was at martial artist level 5. They did not take this person's attack seriously at all. However, they soon realized that they were wrong. This was because they could not break the sword chi that the other party had used. Not only that, but they were also sent flying back. Damn it! The bald man and the gray-haired old man were furious when they saw this scene. This was because a few level 6 supremacies had been killed by the red phosphorus centipede in an instant. These people were originally able to escape, but it was because of that sword chi that they were forced back. The two of them looked at Lin Xian with murderous intent in their eyes. Originally, they wanted to kill him and snatch the treasure. However, they did not expect the other party's strength to exceed their expectations. Not only did they not manage to snatch the treasure, but they also suffered heavy losses. Damn it! All of you come over. Let's charge out together. The two level 7 supremacies roared crazily. This was because they had discovered that only they could break through the aqua blue sword chi. The other level 6 supremacies could not break through it at all. That was why they had called back the cultivators who had fled in all directions and had them gather towards them. Thinking about the strategy of letting everyone escape separately, the gray-haired old man wanted to slap himself. This was because in the process of gathering, a few more level 6 supremacies were infected by the poison and quickly turned into a pile of bones. These were all their elites. However, they had died in vain. They were heartbroken and could not accept this at all. Finally, when everyone had gathered around them, the two level 7 supremacies quickly split the sword screen in front of them and led everyone out. They had escaped from a hopeless situation. However, there was no joy on their faces. This was because the original team of 20 to 30 people was now left with only 7 or 8 people. More than half of them had died before they had managed to escape. However, the culprit of all this was the young man and woman in front of them. Catch them. We must not let them escape. The two level 7 supremacies gritted their teeth. They swore to tear the other party into pieces. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui would not sit still and wait for death. The two of them turned into 2 streaks of lightning and quickly flew into the distance. As for the pursuit behind them, they did not care at all, as their movement techniques were extremely special. Even a 7th level Venerate might not be able to catch up to them. However, after running for a while, they could still hear angry roars coming from behind, which surprised the two of them. How did they catch up? Lin Xian turned around in confusion. Then he saw that the 2 7th level supremacies were not flying. Instead, they were sitting on a small spirit boat. The spirit boat was very small, only 2 meters long. There were exquisite patterns carved on it. At this moment, it was like a shooting star, releasing a dazzling light as it quickly flew forward. So fast. Lin Xian was astonished. He realized that the speed of the spirit boat was not any slower than the shoes on little Fatty's feet. In fact, he might even be stronger than that. Come to think of it, this should also be a type of supreme grade artifact that could assist in flight. If they relied solely on their movement techniques, the 2 7th level supremacies would not be able to catch up with Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. However, it was different now. With the help of this special spirit boat, their speed was extremely fast, and they were catching up with Lin Xian and Zhao Shui bit by bit. Despicable thief. Hurry up and hand over your Dharma treasure, and I will spare your life. Otherwise, you are dead meat. The bald, burly man shouted loudly. Beside him, the gray-haired old man also said coldly, "Young man, don't make a mistake. Although the treasure is good, you need to be alive to enjoy it. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have some special weapons. You are not qualified to do so in front of us. Say that when you catch up, Lin Xian snorted coldly and increased his speed again. Courting death. Stubborn. The two seventh-level supremacies at the back snorted coldly. At the same time, they quickly injected their spiritual energy into the spirit boat. Immediately, the spirit boat released a dazzling light and increased its speed as well. Furthermore, not only did the two of them catch up this time, they even attacked. A long sword appeared in the gray-haired old man's hand, and he quickly released a ray of sword chi. Instantly, the sword chi was like a raging flame. With a sharp and blazing aura, it quickly slashed forward. Fire-based sword chi? Lin Xian's eyes lit up. With a wave of his arm, a blue sword chi rushed forward. Water-based? A brat in the fifth heaven dared to compete with him in terms of attributes? The gray-haired old man sneered in disdain. Fire and water counter each other. It is impossible to say which of the two attributes is stronger. However, he was a seventh-level supremacy, and Lin Xian was only a fifth-level supremacy. The difference between the two of them was like heaven and earth. Therefore, the gray-haired old man did not take Lin Xian's sword chi seriously at all. Boom. In the next moment, his face turned extremely ugly. That was because the blue sword chi was flying towards him rapidly. Then it exploded quickly, and the power of lightning surged rapidly. The flaming sword chi that he unleashed was bombarded by the power of thunder and lightning, and was also utterly disintegrated. What? The power of lightning? The gray-haired old man was stunned. He had clearly seen the water-based sword chi just now. Why was there the power of lightning now? Could this brat have two attributes? Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy. Brat, no wonder you are so arrogant. It turns out that you have comprehended two attributes. However, these things are useless in front of me. You are dead meat today. The gray-haired old man sneered. I only used 30% of my strength just now. Next, I will let you know what despair is. Is that so? Seems like you have us, Lin Xian said coldly. Of course, no matter what, you only have one seventh-level supremacy, and we have two. Brat, I advise you to hand over the treasures obediently. Perhaps you can leave with a complete corpse. Otherwise, you will die without a burial ground. Is that so? I think you are the unlucky ones. I originally wanted to let you go, but since you came to die, don't blame me. However, if you can obediently hand over the spirit boat under your feet, I might spare your lives. Lin Xian's expression was cold. You are courting death. Presumptuous. Two angry roars were heard. Arrogant brat. You will soon pay the price for your ignorance. The gray-haired old man and the bald man were furious. They had never been provoked like this before. Moreover, the person who provoked them was merely a fifth-level supremacy brat. Attack. The gray-haired old man roared angrily. Then he charged towards Zhao Shui. On the other hand, the bald man smiled ferociously and blocked Lin Xian. Brat, let me send you on your way today. The bald man's face was ferocious. There was a sharp aura all over his body. He exuded a powerful aura and blocked Lin Xian's path. Chapter 1154. Lin Xian did not say anything else. Instead, he made his move. He pointed his finger, and his fingertip was like a rainbow that surged out quickly, like a sudden clap of thunder. The sword chi quickly arrived in front of the bald man. Today, I'll let you know what true strength is. Kid, watch carefully. The bald man sneered in disdain. Then he stretched out his palm and grabbed forward. The palm shone with golden light and was extremely agile. It was like a Buddha. Wherever it passed, the entire void shattered. It was as if it wanted to grab Lin Xian. Crack, 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 crack. The sword chi broke into several pieces in the palm. Ha, kid, did you see that? Your attack is nothing in front of me. The bald man sneered. I'll catch you and crush your bones one by one. The golden palm covered the sky and quickly moved towards Lin Xian. I'd like to see how you're going to crush my bones. Lin Xian's expression was cold. In the next moment, he pulled out the Lone Star sword from his back and slashed forward. With a clang, Lin Xian pulled out the Lone Star sword and slashed forward. This time, he did not hold back. The great dragon sword soul circulated in his body. At the same time, he circulated the metal and lightning concepts and quickly fused them. The sword chi's combat power was extremely strong. The sword chi was like a bolt of lightning that quickly streaked across the sky. Then, the sword chi ruthlessly stood on the giant palm. Child's play. See how I'll break you. The bald man laughed savagely. He had already shattered a strand of Lin Xian's sword chi earlier, so he didn't take this strand of sword chi seriously at all. Because in his opinion, what kind of powerful sword chi could a little thief at the 5th heavenly layer display? Even if Lin Xian used all his strength, he would not be able to hurt him. However, in the next moment, his smug expression disappeared and was replaced by a look of horror. In the end, his entire body began to tremble. A heart-wrenching pain came from his palm. In the next moment, the bald man screamed and quickly retracted his palm. Suddenly, the huge palm that covered the sky disappeared, leaving behind a trail of blood in the sky and the bald man's miserable shriek. What? Impossible! At the side, the gray-haired elder who was fighting with Zhao Shui heard the voice and immediately turned his head. The next moment, his scalp went numb, and his face was full of shock, because he saw the most unbelievable scene. The bald man's palm was split open, revealing eerie white bones. Endless blood flowed, dyeing the earth red. They were stunned, truly stunned, because they did not believe that a 5th heavenly layer venerable could injure the bald man. This was simply unheard of. However, it was happening right before his eyes. The bald man was even more shocked. Originally, he didn't put the other party in his eyes, but he didn't expect that the other party's sword chi would be completely different from the previous one. It was simply too fierce, making him tremble incomparably, unable to defend at all. Damn it! How is this possible? How can this brat have such a powerful combat strength? He quickly stopped the bleeding, his eyes full of shock. Impossible! How can a 5th heavenly layer brat hurt me? The bald man's eyes were filled with madness. Then he stared at the long sword in Lin Xian's hand. Half-Earth-rank treasure. It's a half-Earth-rank treasure. No wonder it can hurt me. The bald man seemed to have grasped the key point, then revealed a cruel smile. Brat, I admit that I was careless just now and underestimated you. I didn't expect you to have a half-Earth-rank treasure, but this time I won't give you a chance. With that, he shouted coldly, and suddenly a clanging sound came from his body. Then a set of black armor appeared on his body, covering his entire body. Supreme-grade armor, and my defense. I don't believe that your half-Earth-rank treasure can break my defense. Once you lose your weapon, you're just an ant in front of me. I'm going to crush you bit by bit. The bald man laughed sinisterly, then rushed over quickly. His palm emitted a blazing light, and a strange rune solidified in his palm, emitting a terrifying energy. Then he slammed it in front of him. 7 killing light palm. With a slap, a terrifying palm print pressed forward, causing the entire void to collapse. Brat! Die! The bald man said ferociously. At the side, the gray-haired old man saw this and sneered. Seeing the bald man go all out, he was completely relieved. Then he snorted and attacked Zhao Shui with all his might. Zhao Shui's expression was cold like a fairy, and she quickly fought with the gray-haired old man. On the other side, Lin Xian faced the terrifying palm shadow, and his eyes shone brightly. He stood in the void, his body emitting sword aura shining brightly. Then He waved the Lone Star sword and slashed out sword aura, like a shocking rainbow. It was extremely dazzling and flew forward quickly. The terrifying sword aura and the dazzling palm print collided, and there was a loud boom. Light shone in all directions, and the entire sky was covered in a dazzling red glow. Dang, 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 dang. Terrifying sounds of collisions rang out, and each sound shattered a mountain below. However, in just a moment, the bald man let out another scream. His palm shadow was shattered once again, cut into hundreds of pieces by the sword chi. Then, like a meteor, it disappeared into the sky. Then, the sword chi shot out like a bolt of lightning and landed on his body. The bald man felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backwards. One of the sword chi was extremely sharp, directly hitting his right palm and tearing his armor apart. No. The bald man's pupils shrank as he screamed. He retreated frantically, but the sword chi was faster than him. With a flash of light, his entire right arm was cut off. What? This is impossible. When the few Sixth Heaven Venerables who had rushed over saw this scene, they immediately screamed in horror. They were in the same group as the bald man. It was just that their speed was slower, so they had only just arrived at the scene. They were here to provide support, but the scene just now had shocked them. That Baldy was their Lord Elder, a dignified 7th level venerable. His arm had been cut off, and the culprit was only a 5th Heaven Venerable's brat. They would never have dreamed of such a thing happening. Everyone's scalps went numb, and they turned to run. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly, with a wave of his hand. Several immortal trapping swords flew out of his palm and immediately tied up the 6th Heaven Venerables. After doing that, he turned his head again and looked at the bald man. Misunderstanding. I think it's a misunderstanding. The bald man covered his wound with a ferocious expression, and cold sweat flowed down his forehead. However, when he looked at Lin Xian, his eyes were filled with horror. Chapter 1155. Although he was infuriated by the loss of an arm, he wanted nothing more than to kill the young man in front of him. However, the young man's combat strength was too shocking, which made him fearful. He was worried that if he continued to fight, it would not be as simple as losing an arm. He might very well lose his life here. Therefore, he decided to pretend to beg for mercy first, and then find someone to kill the young man. He had to take revenge for the loss of his arm and the treasure. Although Lin Xian could not read minds, he knew what the bald man was thinking when he saw the bald man's gaze. Immediately, the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. I can feel your killing intent towards me, so I can't let you go. Kid, don't go too far. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the bald man was furious. It was already embarrassing for a 7th level supremacy to beg for mercy from a 5th level supremacy. However, the young man did not agree. This made him so angry that his entire body trembled. Kid, don't think that you can really kill me just because you cut off an arm. If you force me into a corner and I use some secret techniques, you won't be able to do anything to me. When the time comes, you might lose your life for nothing. I advise you to think carefully. The bald man gritted his teeth and said, in his heart, he wanted nothing more than to kill the young man immediately. However, he knew that it was impossible for him to do that in his current state. Therefore, he could only threaten the young man. However, Lin Xian ignored his threats. He held the Lone Star sword tightly and walked forward step by step. Lin Xian held the Lone Star sword and walked forward step by step. Sword chi flickered under his feet with every step he took. He was like a sword immortal, extremely fierce. Kid, you're courting death. Seeing Lin Xian approaching step by step, the bald man was completely enraged. His entire person became extremely ferocious. He did not expect the young man to ignore his threats, and not accept his reconciliation. This made him extremely angry. "Kid, there are some things that need to be stopped. Since you're arrogant and ignorant, I'll kill you even if I have to exhaust my source energy. Soon, you'll know how foolish your decision is." The bald man was infuriated. He decided to use some powerful secret techniques to deal with the kid in front of him. From the battle just now, he knew that although his opponent was a fifth heaven venerable realm expert, his battle prowess was even stronger than his own. So now he didn't intend to continue fighting with him. Even though he had some secret techniques, once he used them, the consequences would be even more terrifying than losing an arm. Therefore, it was best not to use those secret techniques, if possible. But now, the other party was closing in step by step, wanting to take his life. He had no choice but to risk his life. With a furious roar, the blood and chi in the bald man's body suddenly boiled and started to burn. Streaks of blood-red light rushed out of his body and circled around the surface of his body. It was as bright as a scarlet sunset. In the next moment, his aura changed. It became even more powerful, violent, and incomparably sharp. Not only that, but the bald man's eyes also became incomparably red, and his entire body became smaller than before. He could clearly feel that the bald man's strength had increased by a large margin compared to before. Whoosh! With a stomp of his foot, the bald man rushed out like a meteor and arrived in front of Lin Xian in an instant. A blood-red fist, carrying a biting, cold, killing intent, shook the void and quickly blasted towards Lin Xian. If anyone saw this, they would definitely scream in shock. This was because the current bald man was not just a little bit stronger than before. It seemed that the other party really did have a secret technique that could temporarily increase his battle prowess. Lin Xian frowned, and a bright sword light burst out from his eyes, instantly tearing the void in front of him apart. In the next moment, a dragon-shaped sword chi slashed out. Its entire body was flickering with the light of thunder and fire, and it quickly pierced forward. The entire void flashed as if the sun had exploded. Boundless sword chi quickly swept across the land, causing everything in the surroundings to tremble. In the next moment, Lin Xian withdrew his sword and retreated. However, the bald man stopped in midair. Then his body split open from the middle, and blood splattered all over the ground. The bald man's eyes were filled with fear because he did not believe that the other party could kill him in a single move. Beside him, the gray-haired old man naturally saw the scene as well. His scalp went numb, and his eyes were filled with fear. Previously, when the bald man used the secret technique, he was relieved because he knew that the secret technique could definitely increase the bald man's cultivation by a large margin. He thought that it would not be a problem to deal with a young boy. However, he did not expect that the bald man who used the secret technique would be killed in a single move. This situation was like a bolt of lightning that struck him unconscious. Who exactly was this young man? Why was he so powerful? The gray-haired old man was terrified. No, he's definitely not a fifth heaven honorable realm. Yes, he must have hidden his cultivation. That must be it. The gray-haired old man's face was extremely ugly. In the next moment, he turned around and fled because he did not dare to stop. Otherwise, he would end up in a worse state than the bald man. Trying to leave, Zhao Shui snorted coldly, then raised her hand and formed a seal. Immediately, the virtual sky above emitted a ball of green light. Then, like a divine spear of destruction, it directly pierced through the gray-haired old man. The gray-haired old man's pupils gradually dilated, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He did not expect that the woman in white who was fighting with him would have such terrifying strength. She could actually kill him with a raise of her hand. If he was given a chance, he would definitely not target Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Plop! the gray-haired old man's corpse fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. After dealing with her opponent in a single move, Zhao Shui withdrew the virtual sky eye and turned to look at Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian also took the bald man's storage ring. His figure flashed, and he came to Zhao Shui's side. In the next moment, he waved his arm, and a 2-meter-long white jade spirit boat appeared in front of him. This spirit boat was pure white and emitted a faint light. On it, there were lines of mysterious inscriptions. At this moment, the Crimson Dragon also poked its head out and looked at the white jade spirit boat. It could not stop praising it. "Kid, this is good stuff. I did not expect that there would be such a person in the Tianwu continent who could comprehend inscriptions so thoroughly." "Oh, this is not an ancient treasure?" Lin Xian was surprised. He saw that the white jade spirit boat was extremely fast, and he thought that it should have been left behind by an ancient expert. He did not expect it to be made by a modern person. It is not an ancient treasure, because looking at the inscriptions, it should have been completed in the past 100 years. It is obvious that it was made by a master blacksmith in this continent, the Crimson Dragon said. Lin Xian nodded, then his figure flashed, and he entered the white jade spirit boat. Zhao Shui also smiled faintly and entered as well. She stood side by side with Lin Xian. "Give it a try." The spiritual energy in Lin Xian's body surged, and it quickly flowed out from his feet and poured into the white jade spirit boat. Suddenly, the white jade spirit boat emitted a dazzling light, turned into a shocking rainbow, and rushed out. Chapter 1156. In a quiet place, Lin Xian sat cross-legged and quickly organized the bald man's storage ring. He moved all the useful things into his white bone ring. Then Lin Xian closed his eyes and probed the mysterious space in his body with his soul power. In the next moment, he saw the purple thunder divine bamboo growing in the space. In just one day, the lightning energy on the purple thunder divine bamboo was much stronger than before. No way! This place is so magical. Looking at the changes in the purple thunder divine bamboo, Lin Xian was shocked. The effect was beyond his imagination. Humph! Of course, planting here for a day is equivalent to 10 years in the outside world. Zero's cold voice came from the 10,000 beast ding. 10 years! Lin Xian was shocked. He knew that Zero wasn't lying because he had seen the purple thunder divine bamboo grow stronger with his own eyes. Looks like I can get more spiritual herbs to plant here in the future. Lin Xian rubbed his chin and nodded. "Kid, you're thinking too much. It's because the purple thunder divine bamboo is special that it can withstand the energy in this space. If it were any other plant, it would definitely explode." Zero said coldly, okay. Lin Xian scratched his head. He realized that sometimes it wasn't a good thing to make the soil too strong. Lin Xian dismissed the idea of transplanting the spiritual herbs and looked at the purple thunder divine bamboo again. Since it could grow better here, Lin Xian didn't need to consume the complete purple thunder divine bamboo in advance. However, he wouldn't waste it. In the next moment, he plucked a few leaves from the purple thunder divine bamboo and left the mysterious space. Lin Xian left the mysterious space after plucking some purple thunder divine bamboo leaves. Then he opened his eyes and a few flashing purple leaves appeared in his hand. The leaves were narrow and long, about the size of a finger. Each leaf was crystal clear and looked like a peerless treasure. There were streaks of purple lightning on them that kept shuttling back and forth. Lin Xian put the extra leaves into his storage ring, leaving only 2, which he held in each of his hands. Then he slowly closed his eyes and began to absorb the pure power of lightning on the leaves. Bolts of lightning power were absorbed by him. And gradually, a ring of purple lightning surrounded Lin Xian's body, flashing continuously in the air. After a long while, Lin Xian opened his eyes and slowly exhaled as a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He could clearly feel that the lightning energy in his body was much stronger than before. There was no doubt that his strength had increased as well. He opened his hands, and the 2 leaves in his hands had already lost their luster. When the wind blew, it turned into a pile of ashes and was blown away by the wind. After that, Lin Xian took out 2 more leaves and placed them in his hands, absorbing them quickly. Lin Xian repeated the process over and over again until all the leaves were absorbed. Only then did he open his eyes. At this moment, Lin Xian was surrounded by purple lightning. He looked like a thunder god that could control all the lightning in the world. In the next moment, he raised his hand and moved his fingers. Countless purple lightning gathered and quickly formed a purple lightning dragon. Then he waved his hand, and the purple lightning dragon roared into the sky. Endless lightning fell in all directions. His fingers moved again, and purple lightning flashed. The lightning dragon turned into a lightning sword and released an endless amount of violent energy. Then, under Lin Xian's control, the lightning sword turned into various strange beasts and weapons. The purple thunder divine bamboo lives up to its name. I only absorbed a few leaves, and my lightning energy has become so powerful. If I absorb the entire purple thunder divine bamboo, not only will my cultivation level increase, I will definitely be able to form a thunder martial soul. Lin Xian was amazed. However, he would not consume the entire purple thunder divine bamboo now. As long as the purple thunder divine bamboo was in the mysterious space in his body, it would grow quickly. Even if he only absorbed the leaves, it would not take long for him to successfully form a thunder martial soul. Not far away from Lin Xian, Zhao Shui also opened her eyes, following which a terrifying aura emanated from her body. Even Lin Xian was moved by the aura. Needless to say, Zhao Shui must have successfully absorbed the energy in the Dragon Ball, and her cultivation level increased again. Lin Xian even noticed that Zhao Shui's eyes contained a faint golden light. Presumably, some key changes had occurred to her eye technique. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, Zhao Shui turned her head and smiled. "Thank you for your dark lightning wood. It allowed me to absorb the energy in the Dragon Ball faster. Indeed, there was a strong evil energy in the Dragon Ball. Ordinary warriors only dared to absorb a little before they had to refine the evil energy with all their might. However, Zhao Shui was different now. She had the jade Bodhi and the dark lightning wood that was thousands of years old. The combination of the two could suppress the evil energy very well. Therefore, Zhao Shui's speed of absorbing the Dragon Ball had greatly increased. However, after chatting for a while, Zhao Shui frowned. "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" Lin Xian asked. "My eye technique had a breakthrough, and my perception of the surroundings has become clearer. I feel that there seems to be an aura in the distance that makes me very uneasy." Zhao Shui frowned. She had never encountered such a situation before. "An aura that makes you uneasy?" Hearing this, Lin Xian was surprised. He knew Zhao Shui's strength. She was not weaker than him. Moreover, ordinary 7th level supremacies were no match for her. Therefore, an aura that could make her feel fear was definitely not ordinary. Could it be the heavenly netherbirds? Lin Xian thought about it. Perhaps only the ancient demon beast, the heavenly netherbird, could make Zhao Shui feel fear. It's not the aura of the heavenly netherbird. Zhao Shui shook her head. They had felt the aura of the heavenly netherbird before, so Zhao Shui could distinguish it clearly. Then what aura is it? Lin Xian rubbed his chin. Could there be other terrifying existences in the secret territory? Why don't we go and take a look? Lin Xian was very curious. Moreover, he found that the direction was very similar to the direction where They were chasing the heavenly netherbird. It was only a slight deviation, so it should not cause any delay. Hearing this, Xiao Shui nodded. She was very uneasy. However, she still wanted to see what was going on because she would not allow anything that made her feel uneasy to exist. The two of them discussed for a while, then moved and ran in that direction. Originally, they were supposed to follow the heavenly netherbird to the north. However, Lin Xian and Xiao Shui were now running in the northwest direction. In front of them, it gradually became desolate. There was even a trace of gloomy aura lingering. The further they went in the northwest direction, the stronger the aura became. Moreover, the surrounding scenery became extremely different. It was no longer a vast forest. Instead, it was a withered land. In the end, the gloomy aura made Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's scalps go numb. In front of them, there were withered trees. There were no leaves, and the branches were all gray. It was as if the trees had died a long time ago. Not only that, but the branches were also baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as if they were demons. Chapter 1157. On the branches there were a few crows cawing. The cawing was like that of a malicious spirit. It was a graveyard. Looking at the scene in front of him, Lin Xian frowned. This was because he saw many small hills. Some had stone tablets, while others had nothing at all. However, there were no words on those stone tablets. Therefore, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui did not know whose grave this was. However, from the aura around them, the person buried here should not be simple. Since they were already here, they had to take a look. Therefore, after taking a deep breath, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui carefully walked forward. The two of them released their soul power and carefully observed their surroundings. As long as there was danger, they would immediately take action. Crack, crack. Countless bones were buried on the yellow ground. When Lin Xian stepped on them, they immediately turned into powder. However, the cracking sound was very clear and spread in all directions. Suddenly, a few crows on the withered trees were frightened and quickly flew away. In the next moment, a cold wind blew, and a cold aura surged out quickly. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui tensed up and prepared to take action. However, after observing for a while, they did not find any danger. Therefore, they hid their spiritual power in their bodies again and carefully walked forward. Just as Lin Xian and Zhao Shui stepped into the ancient cemetery garden, countless martial artists quickly flew towards this graveyard. 13th Young Master. It's right ahead. According to our investigation, this should be a treasure trove. A group of people came from afar. They were wearing the Shun family's uniform. It was obvious that these people were martial artists from the Shun family. Moreover, their auras were powerful. It was obvious that they were an elite team. The leader was a very handsome young man. He wore a golden threaded lightning robe and was surrounded by lightning. Moreover, this young man's aura was very powerful. He had reached the seventh heaven of the supremacy realm. The person who spoke next to him was a middle-aged man. He was burly and had a stable aura. He carried a huge saber on his back, and his body emitted a sharp saber light. Both of them were seventh-level venerated realm cultivators, especially the young man in the golden-threaded lightning robe. His status was extraordinary, and within the Shin family, he was known as the 13th Young Master. In the Sky Martial Continent, there were 4 great young experts, and they were known as the 4 Young Masters of the Sky Martial Continent. As for the younger generation of these large clans, they followed suit and set the 4 great young masters as their life goals. Therefore, there were many powerful youths who also called themselves young masters. They felt that it was a kind of honor. For example, the young man in front of him was Shunyu, who was ranked 13th in the younger generation of the Shin family. The middle-aged man with a huge saber on his back next to him was also an elder of the Shun family, Elder Qin Yun. At this moment, the members of the Shun family stood outside the huge mausoleum, gazing ahead with sparkling eyes. I didn't expect that this treasure trove would be a graveyard. Interesting, interesting. Shin Yu clasped his hands behind his back and looked ahead with a slight smile. At the side, Elder Qin Yun said in a deep voice, "No one should have come to this place yet. It's a newly discovered treasure ground. But judging from the aura, this should be the mausoleum of a king. Also, I can feel a faint aura. I'm afraid there's someone powerful inside. Young master, I think we should be careful. No worries," Shun Yu said arrogantly. "I'm cultivating the Great Sun Thunder technique. It's an Earth-class martial art that's full of yang energy. It's the best way to deal with these evil things. It's not a strong ghost or zombie. They can't even withstand a single blow from me. Of course, no one at your age can cultivate the Great Sun Thunder technique to the initial stage," Elder Qin Yun said with a smile. 13th young master, let's go." Shun Yu nodded and stepped into the ancient mausoleum. As the members of the Shun family entered, the yin qi in the surroundings became thicker. It was as if the yin qi was howling. There were even ghostly shadows that attacked them quickly. Humph! Yin ghosts and evil things. You shouldn't even exist in this world. The 13th young master snorted. Lightning flashed around his body, and a ball formed behind him. It was like a sun that emitted endless light. Great Sun Thunder technique. Endless power of lightning emanated from the ball of lightning and quickly spread in all directions, forming a world of lightning and thunder. The surrounding ghostly shadows were pierced by the lightning and emitted a burnt smell. Countless screams could be heard. In an instant, the ghostly shadows disappeared without a trace. The scene when this group of people entered was completely different from when Lin Xian and Zhao Lin Xian had entered. There were no ghostly shadows. The reason for this change was that Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had entered the ancient mausoleum. They even had to break some of the restrictions to release the ghostly shadows in the ancient mausoleum. At this moment, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had already entered the ancient mausoleum and were walking with difficulty. This place was too scary. There were restrictions everywhere. Luckily, they had the Crimson Dragon beside them, which made them much safer. Even so, many ghostly shadows were released. There was even an army of skeletons that charged towards them. These skeletons were in the shape of humans and beasts. There were all kinds of strange skeletons. Each of them had pale, white flames burning on their bodies and jade-green flames dancing in their eye sockets. They were incomparably deep and emitted a cold, ghostly aura. Countless skeletons charged towards them. Lin Xian snorted and pushed his palm forward. A purple ball of lightning appeared in his palm and quickly rolled forward. The ball of lightning grew bigger and bigger. In the end, it was like a huge rock as it flew into the army of skeletons. Countless lightning flashed around the purple ball of lightning and continuously bombarded the skeletons. Although there were many skeletons, they were weak. Most of them were only at the 4th or 5th heaven of the venerable realm. Moreover, they were evil creatures and were most afraid of the power of yang like lightning. Therefore, when they encountered Lin Xian's purple lightning, their strength was weakened by another 30%. As a result, the ghostly shadows were defeated by Lin Xian's lightning. Therefore, it did not take long for the ghostly shadows to turn into white bones and scatter on the ground. Let's go. Let's continue forward. Lin Xian took the lead and walked forward. Behind him, the Crimson Dragon and Zhao Shui quickly followed. They had just taken a few steps when they heard a clattering sound behind them. The sound was very scary. It was as if bones were rubbing against each other. The three of them felt their scalps go numb as they turned their heads to look. Behind him, the white bones that had been scattered were rapidly gathering back together. The bones that were scattered on the ground were rapidly gathering to form a new behemoth. Not only that, the green flames in the skeleton's eye sockets also gathered together to form two fist-sized ghost flames. A huge aura surged out from the newly formed ghost and swept in all directions. Chapter 1158. This aura was too violent. It had the strength of a 7th-level honorable. These monsters are really difficult to deal with, the Crimson Dragon muttered. There were hundreds of ghosts before, and now they had gathered to form a huge monster. The huge monster looked like a human-shaped skeleton, but it was much bigger than before. There was a pair of white bone wings on its back and a huge bone tail on its body. There were 4 arms on both sides of its abdomen. They were constantly waving, making cracking sounds. They easily tore through the void. This newly formed skeleton monster stared at Lin Xian and the others, then let out a low roar. It was like a peerless demon king that had awakened from hell. The huge skeleton monster stared at Lin Xian. The terrifying ghost aura spread out in all directions, filling the entire space. Zhao Shui, go ahead with the Crimson Dragon and break the array below. Leave this to me, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Okay, Zhao Shui nodded. Then she and the Crimson Dragon walked deeper into the tomb. Seeing that someone wanted to leave, the skeleton monster roared angrily. The huge white bone wings on its back flapped, creating a chilly wind that blew forward. Suddenly, the void trembled, and the chilly wind whistled. It was like dark clouds, and ghosts were crying as it surged forward. Fortunately, this ancient tomb was very sturdy. The energy alone was enough to destroy this place dozens of times. There must be some kind of array here that could prevent the entire tomb from being destroyed. Lin Xian knew this too. It was unlikely that anyone below the challenger level would be able to destroy this tomb. Therefore, he had no qualms about attacking. In his palm, countless purple lightning surged and quickly turned into 4 purple long swords. The 4 purple long swords were surrounded by lightning as they spun around Lin Xian. Then Lin Xian waved his arm, and the 4 long swords flew out like rainbows. Dang, dang, dang. In the next moment, the 4 purple lightning swords flew out in all directions and stabbed into the ground. That position just happened to surround the skeleton monster. Following that, Lin Xian unleashed waves of lightning energy that surged forward. Suddenly, the 4 purple lightning swords in front of him shone brightly. Their bodies trembled and formed bolts of lightning. They quickly intertwined and formed a lightning sword shadow. Being bombarded by the countless lightning swords, the skeleton monster roared furiously, its voice shaking the mountains and rivers. A white flame rose from its body. It was extremely cold, causing the entire void to tremble. The white flames expanded, forming a protective light that quickly resisted the lightning swords in the surroundings. The 2 forces collided, and the entire underground tomb rumbled. He didn't know what this underground tomb was made of, or if there was an extremely powerful ancient formation. Even in the midst of this destructive energy, the surrounding buildings were not damaged. The skeletal monster's 4 arms kept waving, grabbing at the 4 purple lightning swords as if it wanted to destroy them. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the lightning energy in his body condensed again, forming a purple lightning hammer that smashed forward. Bang! With an earth-shattering attack, endless lightning descended and immediately smashed the skeleton monster back. With a successful attack, Lin Xian roared and waved the purple lightning hammer again. Bang, bang! This lightning hammer was formed by purple lightning and contained an extremely strong yang energy. Moreover, it was activated by Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul. It could be said that its attack power was extremely strong. Therefore, after one strike, the skeleton's bones loosened, as if they would fall apart at any time. Kid, you can't fight like this. Even if you break it apart, it won't take long for it to reform again. At this moment, Zero's voice sounded in Lin Xian's mind. Do you see the green flames in its eye sockets? That's their source of energy. Only by destroying the flames can these ghosts be considered to be truly dead. I see. Lin Xian's eyes flashed as he stared at the green flames. With a clang, he took out the solitary shadow sword from behind him and quickly stabbed forward. 2 streaks of sword chi flew out, as if they were immortal swords from another world. Their speed was extremely fast. Chi. With a flash of sword chi, the green flames in the skeleton monster's eye sockets were slashed by the sword chi. Then, the great dragon sword soul's aura in the sword chi erupted and quickly extinguished the 2 green flames. Roar! The skeleton monster let out an angry roar, and its body was covered in white flames. However, no matter how strong it was, it could not resist the aura of the great dragon sword soul. A moment later, the 2 fist-sized green flames disappeared without a trace. The enormous white skeletal body also crashed to the ground with a loud bang. Countless white bones scattered all over the ground, without the support of its source of energy. These skeletons were nothing but a pile of trash. So that's how it is. The green flames seem to contain a trace of soul energy. It should be the source of the skeleton monster's power. With Zero's reminder, Lin Xian's killing power against the skeleton monster greatly increased. After dealing with the skeleton monster, Lin Xian walked into the depths of the ancient tomb. Just as he was working hard to break the seal in the ancient tomb, the outside world was bustling with noise and excitement. The 13th prince cultivated the great sun lightning art, and his lightning aura was extremely violent. He easily suppressed the ghosts around him. Chapter 1159. At this moment, the 13th young master was extremely nervous as he quickly glanced at the people in front of him. When he saw a tall young man with a huge red sword on his back, his eyes instantly narrowed. Oh, I didn't expect the junior sword exalt Lu Qianni to be here as well. I wonder if the senior sword exalt is here. The sword exalt was an extremely terrifying senior figure in the deity sword villa, and he was the person that the 13th young master feared. It was said that he was extremely formidable. He was once a peerless expert of that era, and he was even one of the exalts who had the chance to become a king. Moreover, as a swordsman, his combat strength was extremely powerful. Even if he didn't step into the king realm in the end, his fierce attacks still caused others to fear him. However, his life was limited if he didn't enter the king realm. It was said that the sword exalt's vital energy and blood had dried up over the years, and he didn't have many years left to live. It was said that not only had his vital energy and blood dried up, but his combat strength had decreased as well. Even his cultivation seemed to have dropped. The sword exalt was carrying hope in the opening of the Hidden Sky secret realm this time, and he was going to make a final gamble. Even though the sword exalt didn't have much time left, and his combat strength wasn't as strong as before, it was still not something that these people could resist. The sword exalt is nearby. He might be here soon. An elder from the deity sword villa said. Nearby. The 13th young master revealed a trace of a smile. When he heard that, he wouldn't believe such words, and he assumed that the sword exalt wasn't with these people. Since that was the case, then he was at ease. Elder Qingyan smiled and said, Oh, is that so? Then I'll have to greet Senior Sword Exalt when he comes. The deity Sword Villa could naturally hear the provocation in his words, and the elder's face instantly sank. He took a step forward and said coldly, What? Could it be that you're doubting my words? As he spoke, a strand of flames rose from his body, and it quickly condensed into a flaming sword before him. A terrifying aura quickly spread out. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Elder Qing Yun sneered as a ray of light rose from his body, and it formed the image of a long saber. The saber and the sword clashed, and invisible waves of air clashed, causing the entire space to crackle. The cultivators of the two forces were also extremely nervous. Elder Laihua, now is not the time to make a move. This graveyard is filled with ghost chi. I think there should be a terrifying existence here. We should conserve our strength to explore the graveyard. At this moment, the young man with the red giant sword on his back in Deity Sword Villa said coldly. Hearing this, Elder Laihua nodded and retracted his aura. All the flames in the sky surged into his body. For a moment, the blazing aura disappeared, and a chilly wind blew in the surroundings again. On the other side, Elder Qing Yun also snorted coldly and retracted his dazzling saber light. The 13th young master smiled. His eyes sparkled as he looked at the young man with the red greatsword. Could this be the sword Dao genius known as the junior sword sovereign Xiao Fan? Brother Xiao? Rumor has it that Brother Xiao's strength is extraordinary, especially your attainments in the way of the sword. You are almost on par with Senior Honorable Sword. Now that I've met you, you are indeed extraordinary. 13th young master, you are too polite. Honorable Sword Senior skills are extremely high, and I am far from being able to compare to him. The two of them spoke politely, but their gazes were full of spiritual energy. There were even sparks colliding in the void. An invisible pressure quickly spread in the air. Instantly, the surrounding disciples felt their bodies tremble, and their blood flow was not smooth. Then, they sucked in a breath of cold air and looked in front of them in shock. These two young men were the same age as them. However, when the two of them looked at each other, such a terrifying aura was released. It was too shocking. They were indeed peerless geniuses. They were indeed terrifying. Xiao Fan and the 13th young master were also shocked. They did not expect their opponents to be so powerful. For a moment, the two of them did not have the confidence to win. In the end, the 13th young master retracted his gaze and said coldly, Brother Xiao, you are indeed worthy of your reputation. Why don't you and I explore this Lingyuan ancient tomb together? I can't ask for more, Xiao Fan said firmly. Then he led the disciples of the Deity Sword Villa into the ancient tomb in the cemetery. Young master, are we really going to let them in so easily? At the side, Elder Qing Yun's voice was filled with unwillingness. He was not willing to give up the treasures in the tomb to other forces. Now is not the time to fight. The other party has more people than us. Moreover, I have tested them. Xiao Fan is very powerful. I don't have the confidence to win. Therefore, we should not fight if we can. After all, we have not even seen the treasures yet. It is not a wise choice to fight and exhaust our strength. It is not too late to fight when we find the treasures, the 13th young master said coldly. At that time, I will let them know how powerful the Shen family is. Young master is wise. Elder Qing Yun nodded. He also knew that it was not a good time to fight with the other party. However, just as the Shen family turned around and entered the tomb, the sound of something flying could be heard from behind them. A red gourd was flying rapidly in the air like a huge mountain. Wherever it passed, the wind would blow, and the space-time would tremble. The direction that the gourd was flying in was also the direction of the tomb. Are there more people coming? The 13th young master and the Shen family's faces darkened. They did not expect that the tomb would attract so many martial artists. This was not good news for them. Let's see who they are. If they are trash, we can just kill them. The 13th young master said coldly. Even the martial artists from the Deity Sword Villa noticed the abnormality behind them. They turned around and looked. In fact, the Death Ghost Chi in this ancient tomb was too terrifying. It could be sensed from afar. Therefore, many martial artists from various forces had come to this ancient tomb, and they were all hiding in the dark. They did not dare to go against the super forces like the Shen family and the deity Sword Villa. Therefore, they only followed behind and did not dare to show themselves. However, it was different now. There was actually someone who dared to come directly to the mausoleum in the cemetery, which made everyone in the surroundings feel shocked. At the same time, they were guessing which force they were from. Buzz. The red gourd stopped above the tomb. Then, two figures flew down from the red gourd. They were two young men. One of them was tall like a demon. He carried a black, ancient sword on his back and looked extremely fierce. His fierce aura was similar to the people from the deity Sword Villa. However, it was not exactly the same. Obviously, he was also a swordsman. The other person was calm like a banished immortal. He flipped his palm, and the red gourd above him quickly became smaller. Then, it kept spinning in his hand. The two of them had different temperaments. However, their auras were equally powerful. It's them, someone exclaimed. He seemed to recognize the two of them. Who are they? Tell us, someone asked impatiently. Chapter 1160. Who are they? Hurry up and tell us, someone asked impatiently. They are disciples of Senma College, and they are not ordinary disciples. They are Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei, who are ranked first and second on the Mystic Venerable leaderboard. I didn't expect the two of them to team up in the Tianyo's secret mirror. Oh, so they are genius disciples of Senma College. No wonder they dared to show up in front of the Shin family and deity Sword Villa. With their status and strength, they are not weaker than the disciples of the House of Kings. Many people whispered. Even the Shun family and deity Sword Villa could not help but narrow their eyes. Senma College was also very powerful. It was even more powerful than deity Sword Villa, and was at the same level as the Shun family. They were both from the House of Kings. However, according to their information, Senma College did not seem to have sent anyone particularly powerful this time. There were only a few ordinary elders and some disciples. I was wondering who it was. So it is the two disciples of Senma College. Although you are quite powerful, the two of you are not qualified to enter the ancient tomb with us. The 13th young master looked arrogant because he could clearly sense that the two in front of him were not 7th level venerables. Their auras seemed to be only 6th level venerables. Although they were from Senma College, the 13th young master did not take them seriously. After all, they were not elders and were not as powerful as them. Therefore, the 13th young master did not plan to let them in. He let the people from deity Sword Villa in because they were about as powerful as them. The 13th young master was not confident of winning, so he had no choice but to let the people from deity Sword Villa have a share of the loot. However, it was different now. There were only two of them, and they were not as powerful as them. Therefore, no matter what, they would not let them enter the ancient tomb. The two of you, I advise the two of you to obediently scram. Otherwise, when I take action, you will suffer a little. Elder Qing Yun snorted. Is that so? This ancient tomb does not seem to belong to the Shin family. Dugu Aotian's expression was cold. Don't talk nonsense with them. Get rid of them quickly. The 13th prince waved his hand impatiently. There's no need for the young master or the elder to deal with these two brats. Let me do it. A middle-aged man stepped forward. I've always wanted to compete with the people from Senma College. Now is the perfect opportunity. Another young man walked out. Both of them were at the 6th heavenly layer of the Venerable Realm, the same realm as Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei. Therefore, it was most suitable for them to do it. The two of them laughed sinisterly and quickly pounced towards Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei. Amongst them, the middle-aged man faced Dugu Aotian and the young man faced Li Yunfei. The two of them attacked fiercely and mercilessly, displaying extremely powerful combat strength. However, after a series of soul-stirring sounds, the two figures flew back. What? How is this possible? The surrounding people were all dumbfounded because the ones who flew back were none other than the two warriors from the Shun family. Dugu Outyen and Li Yunfei stood with their hands behind their backs, and their expressions were extremely calm. Obviously, they didn't care about the battle just now. At this moment, everyone's expressions were strange, and their hearts were filled with shock. One move, just one move, and the two of them had defeated opponents of the same level. This kind of method was too terrifying. As expected of the strongest disciple of Senma College, they were indeed powerful. The surrounding people exclaimed, while the people from Deity Sword Villa were surprised. Most of them stared at Dugu Outyen. This kid's sword technique is a little strange. An old man from Deity Sword Villa's eyes flickered. Indeed, I've never seen this sword technique before. It shouldn't be the martial arts of Senma College. It seems that he has had a fortuitous encounter. Xiao Fan also nodded slightly. Unfortunately, his cultivation was a little weak. Xiao Fan added another sentence and stopped paying attention to it. Indeed, Xiao Fan's cultivation had reached the 7th heavenly layer of the Venerable Realm. No matter how exquisite the other party's sword technique was, it was useless in the face of absolute power. The people from Deity Sword Villa were discussing animatedly, while the Shun family's faces were gloomy. This was a slap to their faces, and it was a slap in the face. They are from the House of Kings, and they are the kings of the same level. However, the other party had defeated their people with just one move. This was too mocking. Kid, I have to say that the two of you have indeed exceeded my expectations, Elder Qing Yun said coldly. However, I'm afraid you're not qualified to interfere with the ancient tombs in the cemetery. What other moves do you have? Use them all, but I advise you to find someone powerful. Don't be like just now. After cultivating for 100 or 200 years, you're still a 6th heavenly layer venerable. Such a piece of trash is not worthy of me fighting. Dugu Outyen's figure was tall and straight, and his voice was cold. He did not even draw his sword when facing the middle-aged man of the same level as him. The middle-aged man who had fought with him earlier was so angry that he vomited blood. Indeed, although he looked like a middle-aged man, his actual age was more than 200 years old. Being a 6th heavenly layer venerable at this age was not very good, but it was not too bad either. However, at this moment, Dugu Outyen had called him a piece of trash. This made him so angry that he vomited blood. At this moment, Li Yunfei said calmly with his hands behind his back, "Of course, don't send people who use pills to increase their cultivation. Those people can't even completely integrate their spiritual power." Buffed. When the young man from the Shen family heard this, he was so angry that he vomited blood. He had indeed used pills. He had forcefully raised his cultivation to the 6th heavenly layer venerable. However, this secret was only known to a few people. Now that it had been mercilessly exposed, he was too ashamed to face it. Hearing the other party's arrogant words, the 13th prince's gaze turned cold. Elder Qing Yun, who was beside him, shouted coldly, "Two arrogant brats. The Shen family is not someone you can provoke at will. Today, I'll teach the two of you a lesson on behalf of Senma College." After saying that, his figure flashed, and he quickly rushed forward. What? He's going to do it himself? Seeing this scene, the warriors who were hiding in the dark suddenly felt their eyelids twitch wildly. Even the people from the Deity Sword Villa were surprised. Who was Elder Qing Yun? He was an elder of the Shun family and a 7th heavenly layer venerable. For such a person to deal with 2 juniors and 2 6th heavenly layer venerables at that, this was clearly bullying. It seemed that the defeat of the Shin family had indeed made the other party a little anxious. Elder Qing Yun raised his hand. and the spiritual power in his body quickly condensed above him, forming a mountain that pressed forward fiercely. This mountain shone brightly and emitted a vast aura, immediately causing the sky to collapse. Although this mountain was not a real mountain, it was condensed by Elder Qin Yun's spiritual power. Its power was even more terrifying than a real mountain. This was because this was the power of a seventh heavenly layer, venerable. Chapter 1161. Dugo Aotian and Li Yunfei did not expect the other party to attack without caring about their identities. Their expressions were solemn. Then they looked at each other and attacked at the same time to resist the other party's 3 spirit power peaks. With a clang, Dugo Aotian pulled out his black long sword and slashed out. The sword chi was vast and mighty, and the shocking sword light illuminated the entire sky. On the other side, Li Yunfei also quickly waved his palm, and agile palm shadows appeared in the air. The two of them worked together to fight the spirit mountain in the sky. Bang! In the sky, the huge spirit mountain was split open and then hit by countless palm shadows. However, this terrifying energy exploded and forced Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei back. The two of them retreated more than 10 steps before they could stabilize their bodies. Was this the power of a 7th-level enforcer? It was indeed powerful. Dugo Aotian's arm was trembling slightly. The recoil just now was too terrifying. If it were not for his abnormal talent, it would have been difficult for him to withstand it. Even so, that attack had numbed his entire arm. Li Yunfei's situation was the same. His expression was extremely solemn. The other party's strength was beyond his imagination. What? They actually blocked it. Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. That was the attack of a 7th-level venerable, not to mention 2 6th-level venerables. Even 10 6th-level venerables might not be able to block it. Now, the other party had blocked the attack of a 7th-level venerable with only 2 people. This was too shocking. Elder Qin Yun was also very surprised. He originally wanted to teach the other party a lesson and let them know that the Shun family was not to be trifled with. However, he did not dare to really kill the 2 of them. After all, they were the top disciples of Senma College. Senma College was not weaker than the Shin family, so he only used about 30% of his strength in this palm. This kind of strength could injure them without taking their lives. It could be said that this was completely within his calculations. However, he did not expect the other party to actually block his attack. He knew that it was just a casual attack, but the difference between a 6th-level venerable and a 7th-level venerable was like heaven and earth. In the eyes of outsiders, didn't this mean that he could not defeat the 2 brats? He couldn't stand it. In the next moment, his expression became extremely gloomy. Brat, since the 2 of you are so stubborn, don't blame me. As soon as he finished speaking, his aura skyrocketed once again. That terrifying aura made everyone around him feel despair. In an instant, the powerful aura of the green-robed elder exploded. A vast amount of energy gushed out from his body and filled the entire space. This aura made all the surrounding martial artists tremble with fear. After that, Elder Qin Yun's hand glowed brightly as he slammed it forward. It can't be. Could it be that he wants to kill the 2 students from the Immortal Martial Academy? When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, they all shuddered with fear. If Senma College's most outstanding student died here, they would definitely go crazy. No one could predict what would happen then. Pung! After the terrifying energy gushed out from the palm, a bright light shone in all directions, filling the entire space. The entire void trembled. One could only imagine how terrifying that palm was. Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei were also shocked. They did not expect that the other party would actually dare to kill them. The 2 of them roared and quickly raised their strength to the limit. Then They retreated into the distance. This palm was too terrifying. The terrifying energy was like a huge wave. Although it was not close, just the wind from the palm made their blood boil. This was a furious attack from a 7th-level venerable. The two of them could not withstand it at all. Not only that, the palm quickly enveloped the two of them and was about to slam down. It's over. Those two brats are dead. The surrounding martial artists sighed because they knew that Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei could not escape from this palm. If they were hit, not even their bones would be left. At this critical moment, a cold snort suddenly came from the void. It was like countless claps of thunder, instantly causing the void to explode. Then, a huge fist came swinging down from the sky. The fist was completely black like a black mountain. Incomparable energy pierced through heaven and earth. On the fist, there were countless black flames dancing. When the fist was swung out, heaven and earth trembled. The air churned like waves crashing into the 9 heavens. This fist landed heavily on Elder Qin Yun's huge palm. Suddenly, the huge palm trembled violently, stirring up the entire space. The wind was howling. An extremely terrifying energy exploded and swept in all directions. Immediately, the martial artists hiding in the dark screamed and fled quickly. This energy was too terrifying. Even the aftermath was not something they could block. After an earth-shattering explosion, Elder Qin Yun's huge palm was quickly sent flying. Moreover, Elder Qin Yun's face darkened, and he took a step back. What? The Shun family disciples and the martial artists of Deity Sword Villa were shocked. They did not expect the powerful Elder Qin Yun to be forced back, although he only took a step back. It also showed that the strength of the person who came was absolutely terrifying. When the 13th young master saw this, his face also darkened. Elder Qin Yun's face was even more ferocious. His gaze was like lightning piercing through the front. Who dares to interfere with the matters of my Shin family? Get out here. This voice was very terrifying, as if tens of thousands of demonic beasts were roaring. Old man, how dare you bully my Senma College disciples? Do you believe that I will break your bones? In the sky, an angry voice was heard. Then, a figure quickly descended from the sky. Boom. This person landed on the ground like a huge mountain. The entire ground trembled, and countless cracks spread in all directions. How terrifying. Who is this guy? He has such a terrifying aura just by landing. 7th-level honorable realm. This is a 7th-level honorable realm. Could it be someone from Senma College? Everyone was discussing and were very curious. They all looked in front of them. The figure was very tall, even taller than Dugu Aotian. He was wearing a black armor that was flickering with light. He looked like a divine demon. His sharp face was filled with coldness. His gaze was like divine lightning as he stared fiercely in front of him. His voice was even colder. The Shen family is really shameless. An old man dares to bully our disciples? If you want to fight, I will accompany you. There was a tinge of anger in this voice. Looking at this figure, the surrounding people were shocked. The 13th young master and Xiao Fan from Deity Sword Villa squinted their eyes and looked at the figure in front of them. This was because they could sense that the person who came was very powerful. He was not much weaker than them. On the other hand, Elder Qin Yun's face was ashen. He clenched his fists tightly and trembled with anger. However, he did not immediately make a move because the previous exchange of blows had let him know that the person in front of him was definitely not weaker than him. Senior Brother Meng, you're here? Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei were overjoyed. Senior Brother, Dugu Aotian, and Li Yunfei actually called him Senior Brother? Could he be? Chapter 1162. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei were the top disciples in Senma College who were ranked first and second on the mysterious honorable leaderboard. Therefore, anyone who could be addressed as senior brothers by them must be extraordinary. Moreover, they knew that none of the disciples in the college could be addressed as senior brothers by them. In other words, this person was not a disciple of Senma College, but a disciple from the previous batch. I heard that all the disciples who graduated from Senma College, except for those who left the college, have entered the punishment hall. Brother, you must be from the punishment hall, right? Xiao Fan asked. That's right. I'm a member of the punishment hall. Meng Tian. 13th Prince was shocked to hear that. You're Meng Tian, who was ranked third on the previous mysterious honorable leaderboard. Everyone was shocked to hear that as well. No wonder this person was so powerful. He was the genius disciple who was ranked third on the previous mysterious honorable leaderboard. So it's Brother Meng. Since that's the case, you're qualified to enter the tomb. 13th, Prince said slowly. Meng Tian nodded and led Duge Aotian and Li Yunfei towards the tomb. However, in the next moment the ground suddenly trembled and an extremely cold aura came from underground. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. Elder Qing Yun and the rest were shocked. Oh no, there's someone down there. Did someone go in before us? Elder Lai was face darkened. That should be the case. It seems to be a violent tremor caused by the seal being broken. Meng Tian's eyes flickered. Damn it. Let's go. 13th Prince gritted his teeth and said. His face was pale. He had wanted to search the tomb thoroughly, but he did not expect someone to go in before them. This made him anxious. If the other party was an expert, they would not be able to find anything if they were late. Therefore, 13th Prince Hua Chung dashed forward like a bolt of lightning. Behind him, the disciples of the Shun family also dashed out. Let's go too. Xiao Fan, who was carrying a red giant sword, said quickly and then moved. Meng Tian and the other two followed closely behind. The group of people quickly entered the ancient tomb in the cemetery. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui did not know what had happened in the tomb. Along with the Crimson Dragon, they broke the seals and obtained many good things. Just a moment ago, they had broken through the last powerful seal and entered the deepest part of the tomb. It was this seal that had caused the violent tremors earlier. At this moment, they stood there. They did not rashly enter because there was a bone-chilling aura in front of them. That aura was too terrifying. Even Lin Xian wasn't completely confident. Therefore, the three of them did not enter for a while. Instead, they stayed outside to investigate carefully. In front of him was a secret chamber. It was spacious enough, but there weren't many things inside. There were only 3 coffins placed in a triangular formation. There was a clear lamp on top of each coffin, flickering with eerie will-o'-the-wisp. There was no movement in the room. Only the 3 ghost lanterns were flickering. Who were the people buried in these 3 coffins? And where did this terrifying aura come from? Lin Xian frowned. At the side, the Crimson Dragon looked solemn. Kid, luckily we didn't barge in recklessly. ***. This guy is too sinister. He actually had a trap. Trap? What trap? Zhao Shui frowned and asked. Do you see the ground inside? That's the last trap. Hearing this, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui looked forward. The ground in front of them was cyan in color. It was paved with square cyan slabs. It was neat and tidy, not a single bit out of place. The Crimson Dragon explained that this should be an extremely ancient formation. You wouldn't be able to see anything from the outside. However, once you stepped on the green slabs, the formation would be activated. If you took a wrong step, endless danger would await you. The Crimson Dragon rubbed his chin and looked around. Let me study it. How do we break this formation? Just as the Crimson Dragon was studying the formation, a group of martial artists suddenly rushed in from the entrance of the ancient tomb. These people were the 13th Prince and his group. They were still above when they suddenly felt a shocking energy coming from underground. Their faces changed, and they rushed into the tomb. Oh no, there are traces of someone entering here. Elder Qing Yun looked forward with a gloomy face. Let's go quickly. There are many formations in this ancient tomb. Even if someone entered first, he shouldn't be able to get far. If we speed up, we might have a chance, Elder Lai Hua from Deity Sword Villa said in a deep voice. Humph, don't let me find out who it is. Otherwise, I'll let him know how powerful I am. The 13th prince was extremely gloomy. He was furious. He originally thought that everything in the ancient tomb belonged to him. However, he didn't expect someone to beat him to it. If it wasn't for that aura, he wouldn't even know that someone had entered the ancient tomb. Therefore, he decided that if he saw the person who entered the tomb, no matter who it was, he would kill him. Only then could he vent his anger. Let's go. The 13th prince led the Shun family disciples and walked forward quickly. Along the way, they saw countless skeletons and corpses. There were also traces of a fight. However, they didn't encounter any danger. This meant that the threat ahead had been resolved by the person who had entered the tomb. This scene made everyone's face turn ugly. This was because the stronger the other party was, the more upset they felt. There's a treasure box here. One of the Shen family disciples noticed a treasure box in the dark ahead. He moved quickly and came to the front of the treasure box. Hee. That person must have left in a hurry and didn't notice the treasure box. The Shen family disciple was very proud. He guessed that the treasure box had been left behind. With a click, he opened the treasure box quickly. However, he was dumbfounded the next moment. This was because there was nothing in the treasure box. There were only some remnants of spiritual energy. Damn it, the item inside has been taken away. The disciple was so angry that he smashed the treasure box with his palm. This was too infuriating. He thought that he had gotten a great bargain. He didn't expect to be fooled. This treasure box had obviously been opened by someone before. However, it had been restored to its original state. The only difference was that the item inside had disappeared. It was obvious that it was done by the person who had entered the tomb. Damn it, that person is such a bastard. Catch him. We must kill him. The Shen family martial artists were also furious. However, before the cursing ended, the entire ground started to tremble. Damn it, what happened? Chapter 1163. D***. What happened? The group of people were terrified. Oh no, it's a trap. The treasure chest should be some kind of trap. However, it was destroyed, and the trap was triggered. 13th Prince's face turned pale. He did not expect them to not only fail to obtain the treasure, but also activate a trap for no reason. They were too unlucky. The ground shook slightly, and a group of ghost soldiers crawled out from the ground. They had a cold aura and pounced on the martial artists from the Shen family. Get lost! In an instant, angry shouts and sounds of fighting could be heard. What happened over there? The people from Deity Sword Villa chose the other side. Hence, they were not clear about what had happened to the Shen family. However, from the moment they entered the tomb, they had started to place martial artists to spy on the Shen family. Hence, they received news very quickly. Oh, you're saying that they opened an empty treasure chest. And someone even broke the treasure chest that they were fighting over, triggering a restriction trap. Elder Lai was squinted his eyes and said to the disciples from Deity Sword Villa, "This ancient tomb is very dangerous. Hence, do not destroy anything. Even if you find a treasure chest, report it immediately." It was not a big deal if there were no treasures. However, if they triggered a powerful trap, it would be troublesome. The surrounding disciples nodded as they heard the angry shouts from the Shun family's disciples not far away. It seemed that the trap was not simple. After instructing the disciples, Elder Lai Hua and Xiao Fan continued on their journey. However, not long after, they found a treasure chest in the corner. The treasure chest was hidden in a pile of rocks and bones. It was very well hidden. If the people from Deity Sword Villa had not searched carefully, they would not have found it. Elder, there's a treasure chest. A disciple from Deity Sword Villa shouted excitedly. Elder Laihua was surprised when he heard that. He moved and instantly came to the vicinity. The surrounding disciples from Deity Sword Villa flew over quickly after hearing that. Be careful. Don't fall into the trap, Xiao Fan said as he carried a red giant sword on his back. Elder Laihua nodded. Then he gathered a few elders and began to carefully conduct various tests and research. Not long after, Elder Laihua suddenly smiled. Young Master Fan, we have checked. No one has opened this treasure chest before. In other words, the thing inside is still here. It had never been opened before. Hearing this, Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows and revealed a look of interest. Then he said in a deep voice, Be careful. Open it slowly. The surrounding disciples also held their breaths. Crack! A low voice could be heard as the treasure chest opened. But in the next moment, the smile on Laihua's face disappeared and was replaced by fear. Yes, it should be a trap. Along with the roar, a gray mist flew out from the treasure chest and spread out in all directions. Not good. It's poisonous gas. Hold your breath. Elder Laihua was infuriated. Then he dashed backward. Plop, plop. A few disciples fell to the ground, their faces dark. Oh no, they're poisoned. Damn it, what kind of poison is this? It's so terrifying. The disciples of the Deity Sword Villa were terrified. The weakest among them was at the fifth heaven of the Venerable Realm. However, they were poisoned in an instant. They had never heard of such a poison. Elder Laihua extended both of his palms, and a fire dragon roared. As it flew forward, the fire dragon circled around and dispersed the gray mist. Then it brought the few disciples who had fainted back. However, at the moment of saving them, a few more disciples were shrouded by the poisonous gas and were on the verge of collapsing. Damn it! What kind of poison is this? The older generation figures accidentally came into contact with the gray poisonous gas, and their skin immediately turned black. The elder was at the sixth heaven of the Venerable Realm. He roared and shot out a series of light shadows. However, when they entered the gray mist, they were useless. Humph! Xiao Fan snorted and drew the giant red sword on his back. He slashed it down. Suddenly, countless sword chi flew out from the giant sword like a fiery sword rain and quickly filled the entire space. The sword chi was extremely sharp, and it carried a thick fire-based aura as if it was burning. In an instant, the poisonous gas was dispersed. Seeing this, the crowd heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Xiao Fan was here. Otherwise, if they were infected by the poisonous gas, they would not be able to survive. After destroying the gray poisonous gas, Xiao Fan asked coldly, Elder Laihua, do you know what kind of poisonous gas it is? If I'm not wrong, it should be corpse poison. Elder Laihua's face turned ugly. Corpse poison? Xiao Fan frowned. Yes, corpse poison. It's formed by the burning of more than 10 seventh heaven of the Venerable Realm's corpses. This poisonous gas is extremely terrifying. Fortunately, young Master Fan, you're cultivating the Earth class, martial art, fiery sword art. Not only is it powerful, but it's also fire-based. That's why you can disperse the corpse poison so easily. Otherwise, we would be in danger. I understand. Xiao Fan nodded and flicked out several fiery red sword chi into the bodies of the disciples who were poisoned to help them expel the poison. After half an hour, the poisonous gas on the disciples' faces gradually disappeared. He walked over slowly. Although the poisoned disciples were fine, the people from Deity Sword Villa were not happy. They had just entered the ancient tomb, and they had fallen into a trap. Moreover, they had almost suffered a large number of casualties. Before this, they had not expected it at all. It seems like this ancient tomb is more troublesome than we thought, Xiao Fan said in a deep voice. Yes, I reckon that it's a trap. The person who came before us must have seen through it. That's why he didn't touch the treasure box. It's funny that we thought we had picked up a treasure. In the end, we fell into a trap. Elder Lai Hua sighed. Not long after we entered, we and the Shen family had already fallen into a trap. It seems like the person who came before us is more troublesome than we thought. Let's go. I reckon there aren't any treasures left along the way. Xiao Fan shook his head. He then took the lead and quickly walked into the depths of the ancient tomb. This time, he no longer paid attention to the scenery on both sides. He knew that even if there were treasures left behind, it would be a trap. On the other side, the martial artists from the Shen family were also hurrying on with their journey. Meng Tian, Dugu Aotian, and the other two were not in a hurry to take action. However, when they found out about the situation of the Shen family and Deity Sword Villa, they quickly gave up their previous thoughts. They had to quickly find the person who came before them. Otherwise, the treasures here would have nothing to do with them. Along the way, the 13th young master's face turned gloomy. After walking for so long, he still had not found any trace of the person. During this process, they had already found more than 10 treasure boxes. However, all of them had been taken away without exception. Damn it, when I find that despicable guy, I'll definitely make him spit out all the treasures that he has taken. The 13th young master's eyes were filled with murderous intent. The other party was too despicable. He did not even leave any treasures for them. The group of people headed towards the depths of the ancient tomb in a grandiose manner. Chapter 1164. Lin Xian didn't know that he had been targeted by 3 parties, but even if he did, it didn't matter. After all, he was the one who had taken the treasures from the treasure chests. They had broken countless seals along the way and had reaped a bountiful harvest. It was obvious that this tomb belonged to someone important. The treasures inside were probably buried with him. At this moment, Lin Xian's group of 3 had already entered the secret chamber. They were only a dozen meters away from the 3 bronze coffins. Suddenly, the sound of air vibrating came from behind them. Someone's here? Lin Xian turned around and frowned. Beside him, Zhao Shui also used her void sky eyes. Suddenly, the void sky eyes trembled and blurred figures appeared one after another. Someone has indeed entered, and there are quite a few of them, Zhao Shui said in a deep voice. Lin Xian looked at the figures formed by the void sky eyes and frowned even more. It's actually the disciples of the Shen family. Looks like we have to speed up. Rizalong, can you speed up? Lin Xian asked. It's impossible to secretly break the seals. Of course, if you want to fall into a trap, it's very fast. The Crimson Dragon replied. Forget it. Lin Xian shook his head. Let's continue with your plan. The aura of this place made him a little wary. So unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want to fall into a trap. What about the people behind us? Zhao Shui asked. It's fine. This trap is probably enough for them to suffer. Lin Xian sneered. Just as the two of them were talking, the group of people behind them had already arrived in front of the secret chamber. Looking at the 3 coffins and Lin Xian's group of 3, everyone became excited. After searching for so long, we finally found that person. The 13th prince was even more excited. How dare the 2 of you? Who let you in? This ancient tomb was discovered by our Shen family first. A disciple of the Shen family stood out and pointed at Lin Xian. You discovered it first? How thick-skinned. Lin Xian revealed a look of disdain. The disciples of the Shen family were furious when they saw the mocking gaze. He was just about to flare up when he was stopped by Elder Qin Yun. Elder Qin Yun's eyes flickered as he coldly said, Brat, I'll give you a chance. Give us 70% of the treasures you obtained before, and we can let you live. Otherwise, I'm afraid that even if you obtain the treasure today, you won't be able to leave here alive. That's right. Being able to contribute treasures to the 13th young master is the greatest fortune of your life. Young man, don't make a mistake. You'd better recognize the situation in front of you. The group of people pointed at Lin Xian and sneered. Scram. In the face of the Shen family's aggression, Lin Xian only said one word. You dare to tell us to get lost? He's really going against the heavens. Brat, do you know who you're talking to? Do you believe that I won't break your bones one by one? The martial artists of the Shen family were furious. How dare a brat insult the Shen family? He's courting death. The 13th young master's eyes were as cold as swords as he looked ahead. Then he sneered disdainfully. I thought you were some expert, but it turns out that you're just a brat at the 5th sky of the honorable realm. Brat, you might be an expert among ordinary people, but you're nothing in front of us. Do you know who we are? We're martial artists of the Shun family. If you know what's good for you, kneel down obediently and hand over all the treasures you obtained. Then I can spare your life. Shin family? I've beaten up many disciples of the Shin family. Which one are you? Lin Xian said coldly. Since the other party wanted to have a war of words with him, it couldn't be better. He could use this opportunity to stall for time and allow An Hong to break the array quickly. Brat, I think you really don't want to live anymore. The 13th young master's face darkened when he heard Lin Xian's words. Young master, don't talk nonsense with this brat. Why don't we capture him and snatch the treasures directly? Elder Qing Yun said coldly from the side. All right. The 13th young master nodded. If any of you capture that brat, I'll give him a half-earth class martial art. I'll go. The disciples were all excited when they heard the reward. Immediately, 2 young martial artists rushed out and flew forward with a hideous smile. Die, brat. How dare you offend our Shin family? How audacious! Both of them were at the peak of the 5th sky of the honorable realm and could even fight against a 6th sky of the honorable realm. Therefore, in their opinion, capturing a brat at the 5th sky of the honorable realm was a piece of cake. However, as soon as they entered the secret room, they were attacked by a pale white flame. Immediately, the 2 of them were enveloped by the flame. They screamed in pain before their bodies burned and turned into ashes. In an instant, the 2 of them turned into ashes. What? How is this possible? What kind of flame is this? How can it be so terrifying? The martial artists from the Shin family were all stunned. Behind them, the people from the Deity Sword Villa had just arrived. When they saw this scene, they gasped. Even Elder Lai Hua had a grave look on his face. He cultivated a fire-based martial art. However, just now, the white flame made his heart palpitate. This was simply too inconceivable. Brat, how dare you kill the disciples of the Shun family? You're dead. The 13th young master was surrounded by a murderous aura. Idiot! Lin Xian snorted. What did you say? How dare you scold me? The 13th young master was trembling with anger and was about to attack. At this moment, Lin Xian's voice was heard again. Firstly, I didn't kill them. If you're not blind, you should be able to see it clearly. Secondly, even if you're from the Shin family, so what? If I want to kill someone, none of you can stop me. Let me give you a piece of advice. Get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the 13th young master was trembling with anger. Who was he? He was the 13th young master of the Shin family. His status was extremely noble. Normally, no one dared to provoke him. Even the disciples of the Shun family had to be careful when they saw him. However, someone dared to scold him now. This was courting death. Brat, you're dead. Regardless of whether you hand over the treasure or not, you're dead. The 13th young master was as cold as the god of death. However, Lin Xian was unmoved. He turned around and ignored these people. This scene made the 13th young master mad. He raised his hand and slapped out. Boom! The terrifying shadow of the palm blasted forward, and the entire void was about to split open. However, just as the shadow of the palm entered the secret chamber, it was burned by a ball of white flame and disappeared in the air. What? It can even burn the energy of a seventh heaven honorable realm? Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't know what kind of flame could be so terrifying. One had to know that the attack of the 13th young master was much stronger than that of an ordinary seventh heaven honorable realm. However, even so, it couldn't enter the space in front of him. This was unbelievable. Chapter 1165. The power of the pale, white flames was beyond everyone's expectations. Even the 13th young master was stunned. He did not expect his attack to be neutralized. Damn it, what are those flames? Why can those people enter? He stared at Lin Xian's back with a cold gaze. Young master, this should be a formation. At the side, Elder Qing Yun's expression was also solemn, but as for how to break it, this old man did not understand at the moment. Hearing that, the 13th young master's face darkened. This was not good news for him. If they could not break the formation, it would be even more dangerous to barge in. That was because they knew that the space in front of them was filled with pale, white flames. Those flames were extremely terrifying. Even a seventh heaven venerable might not be able to resist them. Therefore, the 13th young master did not want to be surrounded by those flames unless he had no other choice. However, if they could not break the formation, they could only watch as Lin Xian and the others took the treasure. This kind of thing was even more intolerable to them. At the side, the people from Deity Sword Villa also had gloomy expressions because they could not break the formation either. In the end, the people from the two forces quickly discussed and decided to break the formation together. They could not let that kid take the treasure. Otherwise, if this matter spread, they would say that so many elites could not do anything to two thieves. That would definitely be an extremely embarrassing matter. After all, these people were from the top forces, and there were many seniors present. Therefore, after some discussion, they finally found a solution. A few seniors took the lead and carefully walked into the secret room in front of them. The first few steps were not dangerous, and the pale, white flames did not appear. It seemed that they had found the right method. The seniors heaved a sigh of relief. However, in the next moment, an elder from the Shin family took a step forward and stepped on the bluestone floor. Suddenly, countless flames emerged from the ground and instantly enveloped that elder. That elder screamed as his entire body burned. He roared crazily and wanted to put out the flames, but he could not do it at all. In an instant, he was burned to ashes. Seeing this, everyone's scalps went numb and their faces were filled with fear. That was a sixth heaven venerable. However, it was burned to ashes in an instant. This white flame was too terrifying. For a time, the older generation figures in front of him didn't dare to walk around recklessly. Instead, they quickly studied it again. Amidst this tense atmosphere, another three figures arrived. These three people were naturally Meng Tian and Dugu Aotian. They just happened to see the scene of the sixth heavenly layer elder being burned to ashes and were immediately shocked. They didn't need to think to know that there was an extremely terrifying array formation ahead. However, when Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei really arrived before them, they were stunned. That was because they noticed an extremely familiar figure standing in front of them. Lin Xian, why are you here? Dugu Aotian was stunned. Are you the one who came in early? Li Yunfei was also shocked. What? Lin Xian? Is he Lin Xian, the student from Senma College? Hearing Li Yunfei duo's words, the surrounding martial artists also burst into an uproar. They didn't expect that the person who shocked them to the core was also a student from Senma College. They had heard a lot about Lin Xian, but that didn't mean that they had really seen him before, so they didn't recognize him before. However, now that someone said it, they all understood, because they knew that the other party was a very magical existence. They had also heard of what had happened before. A fifth heaven venerable had forcefully snatched the most precious treasure from the hands of several top-notch self-cultivators, and had even successfully escaped. Not only that, it seemed that the other party could even resist a seventh heaven venerable. Moreover, he had calmly escaped from the pursuit of the top powerhouses of the Palace of Gods of War. No matter what it was, it made Lin Xian extremely mysterious. Previously, they didn't quite believe these rumors because, in their opinion, these rumors were too exaggerated. After all, how could a fifth heaven venerable be compared to a seventh heaven venerable? But now, it seemed that they were somewhat convinced. This was because their two top clans hadn't cracked the array formation, but the other party had easily walked into the depths of the array formation. D***eminent. This kid must have some secrets. What's the big deal about secrets? I only know that this kid has many treasures. If we can catch him, all those treasures will be ours. In an instant, countless warriors stared at Lin Xian with fiery eyes. Lin Xian also turned his head and looked at Dugu Aoqian and Li Yunfei as he nodded slightly. What a coincidence you guys are here too, he said with a smile, then looked at Meng Tian, who was at the side. What a powerful aura. He realized that the other party's aura was very powerful. It wasn't any weaker than the 13th Prince or Xiao Fan from the Deity Sword Villa. As if seeing the confusion in Lin Xian's eyes, Dugu Aoqian explained, "This is senior brother Meng Tian, who ranked third on the previous Mystic Venerable leaderboard. He's now a member of the Punishment Hall." A member of the Punishment Hall? Ranked third on the previous Mystic Venerable leaderboard? No wonder he was so powerful. Lin Xian understood, and then smiled as he cupped his fists. "Hello, senior brother Meng. Your junior brother Lin? I've heard rumors about you, but now that I've met you, I realize that you're indeed extraordinary." Meng Tian wasn't lying because he felt a dangerous aura from Lin Xian. He didn't feel that way even when facing the 13th Prince and Xiao Fan. Therefore, he was very curious and fearful of Lin Xian. After Meng Tian and the other two arrived, they didn't rush forward. After all, they were still young and didn't know much about formations. Therefore, they didn't dare to rush forward. The three of them stood outside and waited for an opportunity. However, not long after, the Crimson Dragon's body shook, and he roared excitedly. "It's broken. Ben Wang has finally broken the formation." Along with his voice, there was a slight tremor in front of him. Then, a terrifying aura quickly disappeared. "It's broken?" Lin Xian was shocked. He originally thought that the Crimson Dragon would break the formation bit by bit, so that he could get closer to the bronze coffin. However, he didn't expect the entire formation to be broken. This was something he didn't expect. Because the formation was broken, it meant that the people outside could enter. Therefore, without hesitation, Lin Xian immediately took action and flew toward the bronze coffin closest to him. The people outside were also stunned. Then they understood what had happened and were overjoyed. They didn't expect that the formation that gave them such a headache would be broken by a red snake. This was simply too unexpected. However, they didn't care how the red snake broke the formation. At this moment, everyone was staring at the three bronze coffins. Needless to say, the bronze coffins were protected by such a powerful formation. There must be something extremely precious inside. Therefore, in the next moment, all of them quickly rushed forward. Chapter 1166. The 13th Prince Xiaofan and the rest took the lead. As there were only 3 bronze coffins, these people went crazy and acted quickly. If they were late, they might not be able to get anything. Lin Xian was the closest to the bronze coffin on the left, so he was the first to act. Zhao Shui ran towards the bronze coffin in the middle. As for the one on the right, they gave up on it. The current situation did not allow them to be greedy. It was good enough that they were able to keep one. The Crimson Dragon did not act. It did not snatch any of the coffins. Instead, it jumped to the side and watched the show. Die, brat. The 13th Prince roared and charged towards Lin Xian. He had his reasons for doing so. Firstly, he wanted to capture Lin Xian and snatch all the treasures in his hands. Secondly, he wanted to take the bronze coffin on the left. Therefore, he went straight to Lin Xian as soon as he entered. Elder Qing Yun ran towards the bronze coffin in the middle. Xiao Fan, Meng Tian, and the rest rushed towards the one on the right. The others also rushed to snatch the coffins. The whole scene was chaotic. However, not everyone was qualified to get close to the bronze coffins. At that moment, the 3 ghost lanterns on the 3 bronze coffins jumped and emitted a cold aura. In an instant, the weaker martial artists were sent flying and vomited blood. There were only about 10 people left in the space, apart from the 13th Prince and the rest who were level 7 supremacies. The rest were level 6 supremacies. Of course, there was one exception, and that was Lin Xian. He was only level 5 supremacies. However, he was safe and sound in the face of the ghost fire. Although Lin Xian dodged the ghost fire, the 13th Prince did not intend to let him go. The 13th young master dashed towards Lin Xian and threw out a punch. His fist was imbued with the power of thunder and lightning. It was aimed at Lin Xian's head. If the punch landed, even a level 7 supremacies would not be able to withstand it. The fist formed by lightning was extremely dazzling. When the fist was thrown, the entire sky shook. One could even clearly see countless bolts of lightning streaking across the sky. In the blink of an eye, the fist was right in front of Lin Xian's eyes. It looked like it was about to smash Lin Xian's head. At this moment, Lin Xian also moved. Scram! Lin Xian abruptly turned his head and shouted coldly. As soon as the word scram came out, it was like a clap of thunder, causing the void to tremble incomparably. Not only that, but the sound wave also contained purple lightning that surged forward. This sound wave was like a sea of purple lightning. With a long tail of light, it quickly blasted towards the lightning fist. The 2 bolts of lightning collided in the air, followed by an earth-shattering explosion. That terrifying energy fluctuation swept out in all directions, causing all the surrounding martial artists to retreat. The cultivators who were watching the battle from afar were all shocked. They had never imagined that a 5th Sky Venerable Realm brat would be able to resist the 13th Young Master's attack. This was simply inconceivable. One had to know that the 13th Young Master was extremely powerful. Even an ordinary 7th level Venerable wouldn't be able to contend against him. However, a 5th level Venerable had actually blocked his attack. They couldn't believe it. The 13th Young Master was also stunned. Then his face became extremely ugly. This result was directly out of his expectations. In his opinion, his punch would definitely be able to smash Lin Xian's head. At that time, he would only need to snatch Lin Xian's storage ring and open the bronze coffin. This way, the treasure would be his. Moreover, he would be able to vent the hatred in his heart. However, the truth was that Lin Xian had easily blocked his attack. Damn it, I don't believe it. The 13th Young Master went crazy. He simply couldn't believe it. One had to know that there was a difference of 2 levels between the 2 of them. With a furious roar, countless bolts of lightning surged out and condensed into a lightning spear. Then the 13th Young Master's arm shook, and instantly the lightning spear in his hand quickly pierced out. Like a ray of light of death, the lightning spear dragged a long tail of light as it quickly pierced through the void. Lightning, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He had recently absorbed the lightning energy of the purple thunder divine bamboo, so he wasn't afraid of the 13th young master's lightning attack at all. With a flick of his finger, purple lightning gathered at the tip of his finger and quickly turned into a purple long sword that slashed forward. An earth-shattering sword radiance flew out and quickly collided with the lightning spear. Suddenly, violent energy exploded, and rubble flew through the air, slapping in all directions. What? He can really contend with the 13th young master. It's not a fluke. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists were all stunned. They couldn't believe it. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian could block the first attack because of luck, but now he had blocked the second attack. This wasn't something that could be explained by luck. Even if the 13th young master was careless the first time and didn't use his full strength, he definitely wouldn't be careless the second time. However, Lin Xian could consecutively block 2 attacks, which meant that he was definitely not weaker than a 7th heaven supremacy. Thinking of this, everyone was shocked and gasped. If Lin Xian was a 7th heaven supremacy and could contend with the 13th young master, then so be it. However, he was clearly only a 5th heaven supremacy, but he was able to unleash combat power that was not weaker than a 7th heaven supremacy. This was simply too terrifying. Damn it, this kid is too strange. Elder Qing Yun, who was fighting with Zhao Shui, also saw this scene, and his pupils constricted. Humph, old man, you should worry about yourself. Zhao Shui snorted, and golden light flickered in her eyes. Together with the virtual sky eye above her, she unleashed an extremely fierce attack. Elder Qing Yi immediately roared in anger. Impossible! How is this possible? The 13th young master couldn't believe it. In the next moment, he gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, I don't know why your combat power is so strange, but even if you have the strength of a 7th heaven supremacy, you will still die because no one can challenge me." The 13th young master's face was cold as he shouted, "Great Sun Thunder Technique." Immediately, lightning spewed out from his body and quickly condensed into a lightning sun behind him. Countless bolts of lightning illuminated the surroundings, illuminating the sky with a resplendent glow. The 13th young master stood in the sea of lightning like the god of thunder and looked down at his surroundings. An extremely violent aura rushed out from his body, as if it could tear the sky and earth apart. Great Sun Thunder Technique. It's the Great Sun Thunder Technique. Great. The 13th young master is serious. That kid is definitely dead. Of course, the Great Sun Thunder Technique is an Earth-class martial art. Even a 7th heaven supremacy can't contend with it. In the distance, the Shen family's martial artists saw this scene and immediately cheered. This was because they knew the power of the Great Sun Thunder Technique, and they also knew that the 13th young master had cultivated the Great Sun Thunder Technique to the small success stage. As long as he used the Great Sun Thunder Technique, no one in the same cultivation level would be his match. In the next moment, the 13th young master looked coldly at Lin Xian. "Kid, I have to say that you are quite strong to be able to make me use the Great Sun Thunder Technique. However, that's all. Next, I will let you know what true power is." Chapter 1167. Kid, I have to admit that you have some ability to make me use the Great Sun Thunder Technique. But that's all. Next, I'll let you know what true power is. The 13th young master's eyes narrowed as he quickly struck forward with his palm. Suddenly, the lightning sun behind the 13th young master was like a small mountain pressing down on Lin Xian. Wherever it passed, The void shattered, and a sea of lightning spread out. Earth rank martial art, Great Sun Thunder technique. Lin Xian frowned. He did not expect the 13th young master to have a lightning-attributed Earth rank martial art. This was good stuff. However, even with the Great Sun Thunder technique, Lin Xian was not afraid because he also had an Earth rank martial art, Gale Lightning Sword. Lin Xian let out a low growl as the lightning on his body surged rapidly, forming a gigantic sword that soared into the sky and slashed forward. When the giant sword formed by purple lightning appeared, a terrifying aura surged in the sky. It was as if this sword could destroy everything. Looking at the giant sword formed by purple lightning, the surrounding martial artists were all shocked. What kind of sword technique is this? It's so terrifying. Damn it, this aura is so terrifying. Why do I feel that it's not any weaker than the Great Sun Thunder technique? Could it be an Earth rank martial art? Everyone was discussing, as if they had seen a ghost. The Shen family disciples' faces were even uglier. Damn it, why does this kid have an Earth rank martial art? Humph, so what if he has an Earth rank martial art? He's not as strong as the 13th young master, so he can't display the true power of an Earth rank martial art. Just watch, maybe he hasn't even grasped the tip of the iceberg. A group of people sneered, unwilling to accept the truth. Seeing Lin Xian's giant sword slashing down, the 13th young master was stunned. From the aura, it was obviously the aura of an Earth rank martial art. Damn it, this kid also has an Earth rank martial art. The 13th young master was very surprised, but soon he sneered. So what if he has an Earth rank martial art? I've already cultivated the Great Sun Thunder technique to the initial stage. One had to know that Earth rank martial arts were extremely difficult to cultivate. Even if there were people who obtained Earth rank martial arts, martial artists who cultivated to the minor accomplishment realm were very few. He did not believe that a fifth-layer venerable like Lin Xian could cultivate an Earth rank martial art to the initial stage. His opponent's cultivation was inferior to his, and his grasp of Earth rank martial arts was inferior to his as well. So, as far as he was concerned, his opponent had no possibility of defeating him. Therefore, he was very assured in this fight. In the void, the two great Earth rank martial arts collided, emitting an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation. Under the horrified gazes of the crowd, the sun formed by the Great Sun Thunder technique shattered. It was shattered by the giant sword formed by the purple lightning. Impossible! The 13th young master let out a heart-wrenching roar and quickly retreated. He had never imagined that things would turn out like this. After all, he was a 7th level exalted. Furthermore, he was from the House of Kings. Thus, his strength was much stronger than many ordinary 7th level exalted. Adding on the fact that he had already cultivated the Great Sun Thunder technique, this kind of Earth rank martial art, to the initial stage there were not many people in the same rank who were his match. But now, he had been forced to retreat by a 5th level exalted. I don't believe it. The 13th young master roared madly. His terrifying voice shook the surroundings. At the side, the experts who were fighting for the other 2 bronze coffins also turned their heads to look. Then, other than Zhao Shui, who was expressionless, the other experts were all shocked. Xiao Fan from the Deity Sword Villa, Meng Tian from Senma College, and the others all focused their gazes on Lin Xian. Their eyes shone brightly. They could feel how powerful Lin Xian was. He was a powerful opponent. On the other hand, Dugu Aoqian and Li Yunfei were shocked. How long had it been since they separated? Lin Xian was already able to fight against a 7th level exalted. This was too shocking. The elder's eyes almost popped out of their sockets, especially Elder Qin Yun. His eyelids were twitching, and his face was filled with worry. However, he was tightly restrained by Zhao Shui, and could not go to the 13th young master's rescue. Brat, I want you dead. a terrifying voice shook the 9 heavens. The 13th young master's black hair fluttered in the wind, and his entire body was surrounded by lightning. He's angry. He's really angry. If he did not kill this detestable brat in front of him, he would not be able to swallow his anger. Thunder God's fist. With a roar, the 13th young master used the ultimate skill of the great sun thunder technique, Thunder God's fist. Suddenly, as his fist surged out, lightning flashed in all directions. Just the aftershock alone was enough to penetrate a 7th level exalted. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. What he had performed earlier was the Gale Lightning Sword technique. However, 2 gigantic sword shadows had appeared beside the purple firmament sword shadow. One of them was completely red. It was completely formed by flames and exuded a scorching aura. The other one was completely golden, as if it was made of gold. It contained a sharp aura. The concepts of fire and wind merged into the Gale Lightning Sword, once again forming 2 firmament sword shadows. Then, along with the purple firmament sword shadow, 3 huge sword chi quickly slashed forward. The space in front was slashed open, and the violent energy drowned everything. The 13th young master had used his ultimate skill, but he was still sent flying, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. He was sent flying. Everyone was stunned. They realized that the 13th young master was in a worse state than before. Last time, he was only pushed back, but this time, not only was he sent flying, he even vomited a large mouthful of blood and was heavily injured. Young master, Elder Lai screamed when he saw this. He did not expect the 13th young master to be defeated so quickly. He did not even have the chance to summon his martial soul. However, just as he screamed, Zhao Shui activated her void sky eye and shot out a golden ray of death, instantly sending Elder Qin Yun flying. In an instant, 2 7th-level Shen family experts were severely injured. This caused the Shen family disciples to be dumbfounded. It was as if they had been struck by lightning. Lin Xian did not care about those people. He slammed his palm on the bronze coffin, opening it instantly. Unlike what he had expected, there was no corpse inside. Instead, there was a ball of lightning the size of a fist. However, these lightning bolts were white and different from ordinary lightning bolts. These lightning bolts carried an extremely cold aura. To be honest, Lin Xian had never seen such a lightning aura before. However, the Crimson Dragon screamed, "This is Yin lightning." Yin lightning? Lin Xian was puzzled. This Yin lightning is extremely rare. It can only be formed by the corpse of a peerless expert in a special environment. Once formed, this Yin lightning is extremely powerful. It is also different from ordinary lightning. Its cold aura can catch other martial artists off guard. Kid, I have to say that you are very lucky. With this Yin lightning, you can condense a lightning martial soul. Lightning martial soul? Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Then he reached out his hand and grabbed at the Yin lightning. Chapter 1168. Soon, the Yin thunder reacted instinctively. It turned into countless white lightning bolts and attacked Lin Xian. After knowing how terrifying the Yin thunder was, Lin Xian did not dare to be careless. A flash of purple lightning appeared on his palm and quickly resisted the attack. More and more purple lightning bolts appeared and surrounded the ball of white lightning. Then, Lin Xian dragged it into the mysterious space in his body. Now was not the time to absorb it. He had to leave this place and wait for a safe place to absorb it. On the other side, Zhao Shui opened the bronze coffin. It was not Yin thunder, but a ball of white flame. It was similar to the mysterious white flame from before. However, this flame was even more mysterious. It was pure white and pulsated. However, It did not give off a hot aura. Instead, it gave off an unusually cold feeling like ice. In Fire, the Crimson Dragon, was shocked. He did not expect In Fire to appear in the second coffin. Like In Thunder, it was formed from the corpses of peerless masters. The conditions for its formation were extremely harsh. Hearing this, Zhao Shui smiled. She activated her void sky eye and quickly formed a golden whirlpool that sucked in the Yin flame. Seeing the two of them take away the treasures, the other elders sighed. They knew that the treasures were not fated with them. At the same time, they were shocked. Even if they wanted to collect the Yin Thunder and Yin Fire, it would take them a lot of effort. However, they did not expect the two young men in front of them to collect them so easily. The process seemed slow, but Lin Xian and Zhao Shui defeated their opponents and collected the treasures in an instant. By the time the two families reacted, the treasures had already been taken away. They were extremely disappointed. The reason for that was because from the looks of it, unless they defeated Lin Xian and the young man, they would only be able to retrieve the treasure. Otherwise, they would have no chance at all. However, could they defeat Lin Xian and Zhao Shui? Everyone felt a chill down their spines when they thought of their previous performance. Until now, no one dared to challenge the two of them. Therefore, everyone's attention was on the third bronze coffin. Senma College and Deity Sword Villa were fighting over the third bronze coffin. Meng Tian was tall and burly. Spiritual energy surged all over his body as he fought fiercely with Xiao Fan from the Deity Sword Manor. As for Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei, they joined hands to fight against Raging Flame Elder Zhang. Although the two of them were suppressed by Elder Lai Hua and were at a disadvantage, they did not show any signs of being defeated. Therefore, the third bronze coffin was still an ownerless treasure. The 13th Prince and Elder Qin Yun were also suppressing their injuries. They looked at Lin Xian and Zhao Shui with murderous intent in their eyes. However, they didn't retaliate immediately. Instead, they stared at the third coffin. The first two doors had already yielded treasures, so the third one would definitely be extraordinary as well. Revenge could wait, but he had to get his hands on the treasure. Therefore, the 13th Prince and Elder Qing Yun roared in anger and joined the fight for the treasures. With the addition of the two of them, the fierce battle became chaotic again. The Shun family and Deity Sword Villa were equally powerful. They both had 2 level 7 experts. However, Dugu Aotian's side was at a disadvantage. This was because only Meng Tian was a level 7 expert. Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei were both level 6 martial artists. However, when the two of them worked together, they could still fight against a level 7 honorable. This didn't mean that the two of them weren't talented. It was just that they were a few years younger than the 13th Prince and the rest. If they were given a few years to mature, they would be on par with Meng Tian. No one doubted that. However, they were still no match for the 13th Prince and the rest. Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei were losing ground and were about to be kicked out of the fight. At this moment, Lin Xian moved. Seeing Lin Xian move, Zhao Shui followed closely behind. Soon, the two of them joined the fight for the third coffin. Seeing the two of them fighting, the martial artists in the distance exclaimed, "It's him! That guy is fighting again." F***CK, he's too greedy. They have already snatched 2 coffins. Are they going to snatch the third one? That's too much. The disciples of the Shun family and the martial artists of the Deity Sword Villa roared in anger. The disciples of the Shun family, especially, were all ghastly pale. This was because to them, the 2 treasures originally belonged to them. However, they were snatched away by Lin Xian. Of course, this was only their wishful thinking. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's actions attracted the attention of the 13th Prince, Xiao Fan, and the rest. When they saw the two of them rushing towards the third bronze coffin, their faces turned green. "D***MN that guy. He's too much. Kill him. I must kill him." The group of experts roared in anger. "Kid, don't be greedy." Elder Qingyun's face was hideous. "There are so many of us. I don't believe that he can snatch the third bronze coffin." On the other side, Elder Lai was snorted. "Don't worry. We already have 2 treasures. We won't snatch the third one." Lin Xian said calmly. The 13th prince and the rest heaved a sigh of relief when they heard that. However, they soon became suspicious. "Then why are you here? Are you here to watch the show?" "Nothing much. However, I'm still a disciple of Senma College. Since I have such treasures, it's only natural that I keep them for my fellow disciples." Then Lin Xian turned to Dugu Aotian and the other 2 and said, "I'll hold them back. Hurry up and do it." "All right." Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei were overjoyed. Meng Tian said gratefully, "Junior brother Lin, thank you. We'll remember this favor. If you need our help in the future, feel free to let us know." He did not expect Lin Xian to take the initiative to help them. One should know that these treasures were extremely precious. Even if they were from the same sect, very few would be willing to share them with others. However, Lin Xian was very generous and even wanted to help them block the enemies. This made the 3 of them very grateful. The 13th prince, Xiao Fan, and the rest looked gloomy. Lin Xian's actions showed that he did not care about them at all. "Kid, you're digging your own grave." The 13th prince said coldly, "Let's see what right you have to say such arrogant words." On the other side, Xiao Fan held his red giant sword tightly. Sword radiance flashed in his eyes, and he looked extremely fierce. The 2 elders roared, "Let's join forces and capture these 2 thieves. Then we'll split the treasures on them equally." As soon as they finished speaking, the 4 of them rushed toward Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. Among them, the 13th prince and Xiao Fan rushed toward Lin Xian, while the 2 elders rushed toward Zhao Shui. They attacked frantically, determined to capture the 2 thieves. If it was a head-on clash, Lin Xian was not confident that he could defeat the 2 elite prodigies. However, it was different now. He only needed to hold them back. This way, things would be much easier. Streams of icy aura surged out, turning into ice walls and chilly winds that surged forward rapidly. Suddenly, the cold wind was bone-chilling. It was a world of ice and snow in front of them. Chapter 1169. The 13th prince and Xiao Fan were the first to bear the brunt of the attack. They felt a chilling aura surging into their bodies, as though it was trying to freeze their blood and spiritual energy. "Disperse!" The 13th prince roared as a powerful force burst out from his body. Lightning surrounded his body and shattered the chilling aura. On the other side, Xiao Fan's sword radiance surged and slashed in all directions. In an instant, the chilling aura shattered. However, during this delay, Meng Tian and the other 2 had already worked together to blast open the bronze coffin. Damn it! When Lai Hua and Elder Qingyun saw this scene, their eyes turned red as they quickly rushed forward. However, Zhao Shui used her void sky eyes and shot out an illusory attack. Instantly, the 2 elders' bodies trembled, and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. "Oh no, it's a soul attack." Their faces turned pale as they were shocked. It was obvious that they were at a disadvantage from the sudden soul attack. Hence, the 2 elders were stopped in their tracks. On the other side, the 13th prince and Xiao Fan had already broken through the chilling aura and were charging towards Lin Xian. One move. As long as the 2 of them unleashed one more move, they would be able to get rid of Lin Xian. At that time, they would be able to fight for the treasure. At the thought of this, A cold smile appeared on their faces. At this crucial moment, the 13th prince did not hold back. He roared and summoned his martial soul. His martial soul was a bolt of lightning. Once the lightning martial soul was summoned, a terrifying aura filled the entire sky. The surrounding martial artists trembled in fear. The 13th prince was also domineering. Lightning surrounded his body and formed a lightning battle robe that covered his body. The lightning martial soul accompanied him and could merge with his attacks at any time. Seeing that the 13th young master had summoned his martial soul, Xiao Fan also let out a long howl and summoned his martial soul. His martial soul was a ball of flame. It was extremely red and looked like a fire spirit. Once the flame martial soul was summoned, a scorching heat wave swept across the 9 heavens. The entire space seemed to be melting. When the two of them summoned their martial souls, their auras surged. The terrifying energy fluctuation was like a vast ocean, causing the people in the distance to tremble. In the next moment, the two of them attacked Lin Xian. This aura is too terrifying. That brat is definitely dead. Needless to say, when two top-notch prodigies summoned their martial souls, there was probably no 7th-layer venerable realm cultivator who could block that kind of attack. No matter how strange that brat was, he definitely wouldn't be able to block that kind of attack. The group of people sneered. On the other hand, Lin Xian's expression was ice cold as his eyes flickered. Martial soul competition? He sneered disdainfully. Until now, he had never seen anyone with a martial soul that was stronger than his great dragon sword soul. With a long roar, Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind. Countless sword beams shot out from his body, illuminating space and time. Then, a sword shadow quickly appeared in front of him. The sword shadow was in the shape of a dragon, accompanied by a series of deep dragon roars. As soon as the dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, the entire space began to tremble rapidly. A terrifying pressure shook the entire space. Puff, puff. The surrounding martial artists all vomited blood and flew out. Damn it, what the hell is this? Those people crawled up from the ground with horrified faces. It was too terrifying. Just the aftershock alone was enough to send them flying. Even the 13th prince and Xiao Fan's martial souls weren't that powerful. Could it be that the dragon-shaped sword shadow is his martial soul? Someone's body trembled. What kind of joke is this? He's just a 5th-layer venerable realm cultivator. How could he have such a powerful martial soul? The crowd went crazy. They were completely stunned. On the other hand, the 13th prince and Xiao Fan's faces changed drastically. This was because after the dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, their martial souls actually started to tremble. This was something that had never happened before. It can suppress their martial souls? What exactly is that dragon-shaped sword shadow? Could it really be that brat's martial soul? A tinge of fear appeared in their eyes. His body, which was moving forward, suddenly stopped in the air. They didn't dare to move forward anymore because they felt a great threat. They were afraid that something extremely dangerous would happen if they moved forward. Not only did the dragon-shaped sword shadow suppress the 13th prince and Xiao Fan, but it also shocked the 2 elders who were standing beside them. This was because the pressure had also affected them, causing the blood in their bodies to churn. Not good. Retreat. The 2 elders' faces changed drastically. They were afraid that Lin Xian would attack them, so they quickly retreated to a safe distance. This scene was too shocking. Lin Xian didn't even make a move. He only remembered the dragon-shaped sword shadow, and it was enough to scare the 4 experts away. No one dared to move forward. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. At this moment, Meng Tian and the other 2 opened the 3rd bronze coffin. There was a white piece of wood inside that gave off a unique aura. Inwood, it's indeed this item. The Crimson Dragon nodded. This was what he had guessed. Meng Tian laughed, and then kept the Wood. Damn it! Put down the treasure or die. The 13th prince and the rest shouted when they saw this scene. They were about to go crazy. The bronze coffin contained extremely precious treasures, but they didn't get a single one of them. To them, this was simply inconceivable. It was the greatest irony of all. Humph! Lin Xian snorted, and the dragon-shaped sword shadow in front of him condensed again. The 13th prince and the rest suddenly trembled, and fear filled their eyes. However, their faces turned gloomy, and they gritted their teeth. It was too despicable. The 4 of them were level 7 honorables, and they were threatened by a level 5 brat. They were about to go mad with anger. However, the dragon-shaped sword shadow in front of them was too terrifying, and they didn't dare to fight it head-on. For a moment, they stared at Lin Xian angrily, but no one dared to make a move. Seeing this, Lin Xian sneered and said to Zhao Shui and the rest, "Retreat." Zhao Shui, Meng Tian, and the rest nodded. Since they had gotten the treasure, there was no need for them to stay. In the next moment, they turned into a few rays of light and flew out quickly. "Damn it! Stop them!" The 13th prince and Xiao Fan roared. However, the disciples of the Shen family and the martial artists of the Celestial Sword Villa outside were terrified. They scattered and made way for them. What a joke! Even the 4 level 7 honorables didn't dare to attack Lin Xian, let alone them. Trash! A bunch of trash! Go after them! The 13th prince roared. Instantly, a group of people chased after them. However, the Crimson Dragon activated the array in the ancient tomb and stopped the people behind them. Behind them, angry roars and sounds of fighting could be heard. However, Lin Xian and the rest left the ancient tomb quickly. Chapter 1170. After leaving the ancient tomb, Lin Xian bade farewell to Meng Tian and the other 2 and flew into the distance. Meng Tian and the other 2 also left quickly. Deep in the mountains, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui revealed themselves and landed in the forest. Then the Crimson Dragon quickly set up a formation. After doing this, the 2 of them heaved a sigh of relief. It was impossible for those people to find this place. Then Lin Xian sat cross-legged and closed his eyes. His soul power quickly entered the mysterious space in his body. There was a ball of white lightning the size of a fist. It was struggling, but it was surrounded by countless purple lightning bolts. However, looking at the situation, it would not take long for the white lightning to break through the purple lightning's defense. Of course, this was under the condition that Lin Xian did not make a move. Now that Lin Xian was here, how could he allow the white lightning to escape? In the next moment, he brought the white lightning into the mysterious space. When the white lightning appeared in the outside world, it immediately emitted a horrifying cold aura. The aura was very strange. It was violent and cold, causing the entire space to tremble. Even Zhao Shui's body trembled. However, she quickly took a step and flew to another mountain. She also wanted to refine the Yin fire. For a moment, only Lin Xian was left in this place. Lin Xian stared at the ball of white lightning that was struggling in front of him. His eyes shone brightly. I already have the purple lightning that is extremely masculine. If I absorb this cold white lightning, I can achieve a balance of yin and yang. Maybe I can use this to condense the thunder martial soul. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's face was filled with joy. The light in his eyes shone even brighter. Lin Xian now had the dragon sword soul and the ice martial soul. If he could add the thunder martial soul, his strength would definitely increase greatly. By then, even a 7th level honorable would not be his match. In the next moment, lightning flashed all over his body. He used his great powers to quickly absorb the white lightning. The process was extremely slow. However, Lin Xian had absolute patience. Time passed little by little. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Half of the white lightning had already been absorbed, but the surrounding environment had still changed greatly. There were traces of lightning strikes everywhere, and everywhere was charred black. Fortunately, he had the Crimson Dragon's formation as a cover. Otherwise, he might have been discovered. Another 5 days passed, and the white lightning was finally completely absorbed. However, Lin Xian did not open his eyes. He formed a seal with his palms and began cultivating again. At this moment, the purple lightning and the white lightning were very distinct in his body. Although he had absorbed them, he was still unable to fuse them. What Lin Xian needed to do next was to fuse the 2 types of lightning. Once the fusion was complete, a thunder martial soul would be formed. This process was even slower, but Lin Xian had condensed his martial soul twice, so he was extremely experienced in this process. 10 days later, the sound of thunder erupted from Lin Xian's body as a humanoid lightning formed behind him. This humanoid lightning was made up of 2 colors, purple and white. It was like a thunder god with a violent aura. Then, Lin Xian opened his eyes. As he moved, the humanoid lightning behind him also took a step forward. Immediately, the surrounding thunder rumbled, and countless lightning bolts quickly descended. It was like a heavenly tribulation, but they were all absorbed by the thunder martial soul. At this moment, Lin Xian's aura also changed. The surrounding spirit chi was like a wave as it quickly surged into his body. His aura also rose abruptly as a majestic pressure surged out from his body. 6th heaven of the honorable realm. During this period of time, Lin Xian had been absorbing the energy in the water spirit pearl, so his cultivation had already reached the peak of the 5th heaven. He only needed an opportunity to break through. Now, with the formation of the thunder martial soul, the opportunity had finally arrived. Therefore, he broke through to the 6th heaven of the honorable realm. Compared to before, his strength had increased by several times. Now, even if he encountered the 13th prince and Xiao Fan again, he could defeat them without using his martial soul. Now, he was completely confident that he could fight against the mysterious honorable master from the Palace of Gods of War. This time, not only did he break through, but he also condensed his 3rd martial soul. His chances of winning in the core area would be greatly increased. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. After all, the core area was filled with danger. At that time, the strongest martial artists from all the major forces would definitely gather. Moreover, there was an extremely terrifying heavenly netherbird. Therefore, the stronger he was, the safer he would be. At this moment, a figure suddenly flew over from afar. Lin Xian looked at the figure and smiled because it was Zhao Shui. You broke through. Zhao Shui looked at Lin Xian in surprise. Although the 6th heaven of the martial soul was nothing to her, what shocked her was Lin Xian's breakthrough speed. She remembered that when she first met Lin Xian, he was only a 4th heaven of the honorable realm martial artist. However, in just 2 months, he had broken through to the 6th heaven of the honorable realm. This speed was absolutely terrifying. In the entire history of cultivation, no one had achieved such a terrifying cultivation speed. Of course, she knew that all of this was caused by the remote sky secret realm, because there were simply too many treasures in there. Every one of them could greatly increase one's strength. However, Lin Xian's breakthrough speed still shocked her. However, Zhao Shui also knew that this kind of breakthrough speed could only happen to Lin Xian. It was impossible for others to replicate it. Zhao Shui slowly exhaled and walked forward. However, in the next moment, She was shocked again. "This is your martial soul." She stared at the purple and white human-shaped lightning behind Lin Xian in shock. This was because she felt a terrifying and violent aura in the lightning that even made her heart tremble. "That's right. This is the lightning martial soul that I just condensed." Lin Xian smiled and said, "How is it? Its power is not bad, right?" Hearing this, Zhao Shue's mouth twitched slightly. She clearly remembered that Lin Xian had displayed the Ice Lotus martial soul previously. Moreover, not long ago, he had displayed a dragon-shaped sword shadow. Judging from the aura, it should be a martial soul too. Now, he had actually condensed the lightning martial soul. She had never heard of a single person possessing 3 martial spirits. "I originally thought that I was talented enough. However, compared to you, I realized that I am just an ordinary martial artist." Zhao Shui shook her head and sighed. "I was just lucky." Lin Xian smiled and said, "Oh yes, how are you? How's the absorption of the white flame?" "I've finished absorbing it." Speaking of the white flame, Zhao Shui smiled. Then she stretched out her slender hand, and a ball of white flame quickly rose from her fingertip. The flame was very strange. It was burning, but it released a cold aura. "Not only that, I also used this flame together with my eye technique to form a new ultimate move," Zhao Shui said. It seemed that she had gained a lot. Chapter 1171. After that, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui rested for a while before continuing on their journey. This time, they continued to track down the heavenly Netherbird. As they continued on their journey, the aura of the black flames in the air became more and more intense. The two of them could not help but be surprised because this meant that they were not far from the heavenly Netherbird. Along the way, they also encountered some beasts, which were easily dealt with. Not only that, they also encountered many martial artists. However, at this moment, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's notoriety was already known. When the martial artists saw them from afar, they all ran away and did not dare to face them. Seeing this, Lin Xian rubbed his nose helplessly. Those people avoided them even faster than they avoided beasts. This made him feel helpless. He did not know that the matter between the two of them had already spread. Even the matter of them going against the Shun family and Deity Sword Manor had spread. In addition to the previous matter, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had become extremely dangerous existences in the secret territory. Those below the 7th level honorable realm could not even think of going up against them. Even a 7th level honorable realm would not be able to gain any advantage against Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. However, this was also good. At least it would save them a lot of trouble. After walking for a while, Lin Xian suddenly frowned and increased his speed. Zhao Shui's expression was also serious as she quickly followed. There was a huge pit in front of them. It was like a bottomless abyss. Around the abyss, there were countless charred corpses. At the edge of the abyss, there were remnants of black flames. Every time it beat, it carried an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Black flames. Seeing this, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. Needless to say, the flames of this color and such power must have been left behind by the heavenly Netherbird. It seemed that the heavenly Netherbird had taken action. At the side, Zhao Shui's expression was also serious. Her eyes shone with a golden light. Then, she said slowly, "Other than the aura of the heavenly Netherbird, I also sensed another powerful demonic aura. Thinking about it, there should have been an extremely terrifying demonic beast in there. That was why the heavenly Netherbird took action." Lin Xian was also silent because he had also sensed that demonic qi, which had definitely surpassed that of a 7th heaven venerable realm cultivator. Thinking about it, it should be an 8-star demon general or even stronger. However, it was completely extinguished by the heavenly netherbird's black flames. One could only imagine how terrifying the heavenly netherbird was. Lin Xian looked at the remaining black flames and grabbed at them. The black flames sensed the threat and immediately leaped towards Lin Xian as if it wanted to burn Lin Xian's hand to ashes. However, countless purple and white lightning flashed in Lin Xian's palm, forming a defensive barrier that imprisoned the black flames. Then, Lin Xian retracted his palm and slowly opened it. A wisp of black flame danced quickly in front of Lin Xian. Previously, Lin Xian had only felt the scorching aura left behind by the black flames. This was the first time he had seen such black flames. In the next moment, a fiery red flame also appeared in his palm. However, when this flame met the black flames, it dimmed significantly. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly, and the invisible power of his sword soul appeared, extinguishing the black flames. Under the threat of Lin Xian's dragon sword soul, the black flames could no longer erupt with any power and could only be absorbed by Lin Xian's flames. Although it was only a wisp, Zhao Shui could still feel the terrifying energy in the black flames. She could even feel the aura of the flames in her body increasing. However, she felt that it was a pity that the remaining black flames were too little. If I could obtain a large amount of black flames, I might be able to condense a flame martial soul. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. Only after absorbing the black flames did he know how terrifying they were. Furthermore, if he wanted to obtain more black flames, he would have to get it from the heavenly netherbird. It seemed that he could only think of a way when the time came. Lin Xian shook his head, and then absorbed all the black flames around the deep pit, leaving no trace behind. When the black flames completely disappeared, Lin Xian moved again. With a flip of his palm, he summoned the white jade spirit boat that he had obtained before. Standing on the spirit boat with Zhao Shui, they quickly flew into the distance. The Crimson Dragon had also set up a spirit gathering formation on the spirit boat, which could continuously absorb the spiritual energy in the surroundings as a source of energy. This way, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui did not need to inject spiritual energy into the white jade spirit boat. This was a good thing for the two of them. At least they did not need to consume spiritual energy. Furthermore, the spirit gathering formation set up by the Crimson Dragon was extraordinary, causing the speed of the white jade spirit boat to be 3 times faster than before. As they sped along, Lin Xian felt that the temperature in the air was getting higher and higher, and the surrounding spiritual energy was getting thicker and thicker. No matter which one it was, it meant that they were getting closer and closer to the core area. Later, they even found that they had entered the core area. According to normal circumstances, the core area should be more terrifying and dangerous. However, they were here, for the heavenly netherbird. With the heavenly netherbird's terrifying strength, even if there was a demon king here, it would probably be able to kill them. Therefore, they did not encounter much danger along the way. Thus, it was only a matter of time before she became a ruler. To be honest, they really didn't want Murong Qingcheng to take the risk. After all, if it was a normal place, it would be fine. However, there was a terrifying heavenly netherbird in front of them. Who knew what would happen? However, Murong Qingcheng would not listen to them. At this moment, her beautiful face was filled with determination. Her beautiful eyes were also looking forward with incomparable light to become a peerless expert. Other than having a powerful cultivation base, one must have a firm and fearless heart. If I shrink back from even this little bit of danger, then how can I climb to a higher level of martial arts in the future? Furthermore, the path of cultivation is something that defies the heavens. How can there be no danger on this path? If I am always protected by my family, then I will forever be a flower in a greenhouse. I will never become a true, peerless expert. Furthermore, he is also going there. I will not lose to that guy. The last sentence was said very softly. It was obvious that she was saying it to herself. Hearing this, the elders of the Murong family shook their heads and sighed. They knew that they could not change Murong Qingqing's decision. The only thing they could do was to protect Murong Qingqing as much as possible. Not only the Murong family, but the Palace of Gods of War, Deity Sword Villa, Senma College, and other forces were also rushing towards the core area. At this moment, Yan Feng of the Palace of Gods of War had already led the people from the Palace of Gods of War to the entrance of the Pine Palace. The Pine Palace was extremely majestic. It was like a heavenly emperor's city. It had an incomparably desolate aura. However, there was a huge hole in the city. The hole had obviously been smashed open from the inside. There were still countless remnants of black flames around it. It was obvious that the hole had been smashed open by the heavenly netherbird. That beast has already gone in. Everyone be careful. But this is good. It saves us the trouble of breaking the seal. As long as we follow the heavenly netherbird, the threat inside will be reduced to the minimum. The people from the Palace of Gods of War were excited. Because of Yan Feng, they were the first to find the Pine Palace. However, the people from the Merry Woods quickly arrived. Of course, this was all thanks to the little fatty, Zhou Qingho. However, when they saw the people from the Palace of Gods of War, their faces darkened. The rumored Pine Palace is right in front of us. Everyone must be careful, especially the people from the Palace of Gods of War. Elder Xiao Yao turned his head and said to the martial artists from the Merry Woods, especially Yan Feng, "He is known as a lunatic. He does things without any scruples. His cultivation is extremely high. Even an ordinary 7th-level honored realm expert is not his match. So, if you really meet him, don't fight him head-on." Elder Xiao Yao warned. They had no choice. Although they had people on their side who could fight Yan Feng, he was indeed a lunatic. His actions were out of the ordinary. So unless it was absolutely necessary, they did not want to fight against such a person. After carefully warning them, Elder Xiao Yao sent people to carefully investigate the entrance of the cave. Although the heavenly netherbird had forcefully broken into the city, no one knew if there were other dangers inside. So, it was better to investigate first. After all, the master of the Pine Palace was an existence that could even seal the heavenly netherbird. For a moment, everyone was moving in close proximity. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had also stepped into the core area. Moreover, the two of them were moving forward quickly. Suddenly, Lin Xian frowned. The lone star sword on his back began to tremble without warning, as if it was about to leave the sheath. Such a thing had never happened before. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated and quickly stabilized the Lone Star Sword. Who is it that can affect my Lone Star Sword? But soon, he revealed a shocked expression. This was because a powerful Sword Dao energy came from afar. That aura was even stronger than his. A Sword Dao expert. No wonder he can affect my Lone Star Sword. Lin Xian's expression changed drastically. This was because he felt that the Sword Dao energy was too terrifying. "Let's go and take a look." Lin Xian waved his hand and sent another wave of energy into the white jade spiritual boat. Instantly, the boat flew forward like lightning. One must know that the 8-clawed demon ape had reached the peak of the 7-star demon general realm and was about to become an 8-star demon general. Such a terrifying demonic beast was probably something that only 8th Heaven Venerables could contend against. However, at this moment, He was killed by a single sword strike. It had to be said that this was truly too shocking. Sword Venerable. It's him. It's really Sword Venerable. Someone looked at the linen-clothed old man and shouted, "What? It's him. No wonder it's so terrifying." That's a legendary figure. I didn't expect him to come to the Hidden Sky's secret realm. The group of people cried out in alarm. Lin Xian was shocked as well. He didn't expect the old man in front of him to be the legendary Sword Venerable. That was a legendary figure, an existence who had almost become a king back in the day. Although he was old now and wasn't as powerful as he used to be, it seemed that they still couldn't contend against him. Lin Xian was especially shocked. It was the terrifying sword strike from before. He could also unleash that terrifying sword chi, but he definitely wouldn't be able to unleash it casually like the old man in front of him. It could be said that the old man in the linen-clothed was the only martial artist that Lin Xian had ever seen who was better than him in terms of sword principle. It seemed that the Sword Venerable's name wasn't just for show. After killing the 8-armed demon ape with a single sword strike, the old man in the linen-clothed wasn't surprised at all. He suddenly turned around and prepared to leave. However, just as he took his first step, he suddenly turned around and looked at a cloud in the sky. His gaze was like a sharp sword that pierced through the void. However, he only took a glance, then shook his head slightly, and no longer paid attention to it. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, who were hiding in the cloud, were shocked, especially Zhao Shui, as if she was facing a great enemy. The blood in her body seemed to freeze. What a terrifying old man! His gaze is even sharper than a magical sword. Zhao Shui's face was full of fear. She didn't expect that the old man in the linen clothes could easily see through their hiding place. Lin Xian's face was equally solemn. That gaze just now also made his whole body tense. However, he had the great dragon sword spirit in his body, so he wasn't like Zhao Shui, who was in a state of condensing all of her qi and blood. However, that gaze still made him extremely fearful. When he looked down again, the old man in the linen clothed had already left. It turned out to be the Sword Venerable of the deity Sword Villa. He didn't expect the rumors to be true. The people of the Divine Bird Palace looked at the old man's back, their eyes full of fear. It wasn't just the Divine Bird Palace. The other martial artists along the way all looked at the old man's back nervously. It couldn't be helped the old man's reputation was too great, and he had unleashed such a terrifying strike. They couldn't help but be afraid of such a person. Even the people of the Murong family, Mary Woods, and the Palace of Aries saw the old man's back. For a time, the elders of the major forces all gave orders, warning their disciples to be careful. At the same time, they sped up their investigation of the cave entrance. On the other side, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui rode the white jade spirit boat out of the clouds and then rushed forward. Soon, they saw the giant city that was as big as heaven and earth. What? It's that kid surnamed Lin. Damn it. Why is he here? Seeing the people in the white jade spirit boat, everyone became nervous, especially the martial artists nearby. They looked at the sky nervously, as if they were about to face something big. It couldn't be helped Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were now famous, and it wasn't a good reputation, because all the forces that fought with Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, no matter how big or small, or even the House of Kings, all suffered losses. No one was able to take advantage of Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. It was said that most people didn't believe it, but as more and more news came out, they had no choice but to believe it. The two of them were the nemesis of all the forces. That was why these martial artists were so nervous when they saw Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's mouths twitched. They didn't expect that their appearance would cause such a big commotion. It seemed that these people were even more nervous than when they saw the Sword Venerable. When did we establish such a reputation? Lin Xian asked innocently, A bunch of trash, they must be scared. Zhao Shui regained her composure. Kid, I didn't expect you to dare to appear and steal from the Shen family. This time, I will let you know what regret is. The 13th prince looked at Lin Xian with a ferocious expression. Chapter 1174. At this moment, the majority of the Shen family's martial artists had already arrived near Pine Palace. This time, the 13th prince was confident. Brat, no matter how strong you are, you won't be able to escape. The 13th prince sneered. He had no choice. What happened in the ancient tomb had made him too sullen. If he didn't vent his anger, it would affect his martial path. You're that Lin Xian? You don't look that special. A handsome young man from the Shen family said with disdain. 11th brother, don't underestimate this brat. Although his cultivation isn't high, his combat strength is strangely strong. Don't be fooled by him. The 13th prince gritted his teeth and said, the last time he had underestimated Lin Xian's cultivation and suffered a loss. However, this time he would definitely not be fooled again. Elder Qing Yun's face was gloomy. He glared at Lin Xian with undisguised killing intent. However, he still tried to persuade the 13th prince. 13th prince, 11th prince, our top priority now is to enter Pine Palace. As for this brat, it won't be too late to kill him after we get the treasure. We can't be distracted by this brat. After all, this is a special time. Other than us, there are other forces like the Merry Forest. It wouldn't be long before the other families arrived. Hearing this, the 11th prince nodded his head. All right, we'll do as you say. But after I get the treasure, I'll teach this brat a lesson. Brat, I'll let you live a little longer. The 13th prince snorted coldly. Lin Xian didn't care about the Shen family's threat. Before he had a breakthrough, he could easily escape from the Shen family. Now, not only did he have a breakthrough in his cultivation, he had also condensed a lightning martial soul. His strength had increased greatly. Even if they had more people than before, if he really wanted to leave, they wouldn't be able to stop him. Therefore, Lin Xian stood on the white jade spiritual boat with his hands behind his back. He looked at the huge city in front of him without any fear. When he saw that there was a terrifying hole in the huge city wall, he revealed a shocked expression. Needless to say, this hole must have been created by the heavenly netherbird. Just as Lin Xian was surveying his surroundings, a cold snort sounded from afar. Clearly, someone was very dissatisfied with Lin Xian's actions. Lin Xian squinted his eyes and looked in the direction of the voice. Then, he saw the people from the Palace of Ares. That cold snort came from Yan Feng of the Palace of War. Yan Feng's injuries had long since healed. However, whenever he thought of what had happened, he would go crazy. He wanted nothing more than to kill Lin Xian. It was all because of Lin Xian's interference that the news of Deep Pine Hall was exposed. Otherwise, with his strength, killing Mary Wood's little fatty would be as easy as flipping his hand. Indeed, this person was the 9th prince of the Shun family. His strength was even stronger than the 13th prince and 11th prince. Not only that, but the 9th prince's status was also extraordinary. He was the grandson of the great elder of the Shun family. As the House of Kings, the Shun family had many elders. However, there was only one great elder. His status and power were not something that ordinary elders could compare to. Therefore, as the grandson of the great elder, the 9th prince's status was very honorable. Moreover, he was the younger brother of the eldest prince of the Shun family. The eldest prince of the Shun family was Prince Qilin, one of the 4 princes of Tianwu, Prince Ling Feng of the Palace of Ares, Prince Anil of the Merry Woods, and Prince Moonwalker of the Murong family. They were one of the 4 most powerful people of the younger generation in Tianwu continent. As the younger brother of Prince Qilin, one could imagine how honorable the ninth prince's status was. At this moment, when the crowd saw the ninth prince walking towards Murong Qingcheng, they all had a sudden realization. Rumor has it that the ninth prince of the Shen family has been begging Murong Qingcheng. It seems that the rumor is true. Indeed, only someone like the ninth prince of the Shen family is worthy of Murong Qingcheng, the crowd discussed. Chapter 1175. Zhou Gongzi, on the other hand, strode toward Murong Qingcheng. He had been courting Murong Qingcheng for a long time, and it was not a secret among all the powerful parties that he liked Murong Qingcheng. Therefore, he had already regarded Murong Qingcheng as his woman. He knew that Murong Qingcheng would not think that way, but it was fine as long as he thought so. With his status and charm, no matter what kind of woman she was, she would not be able to escape from his grasp. Even if it was Murong Qingcheng, she would still be his in the end. Qingcheng, you're here. This place is very dangerous. You shouldn't have come. But don't worry. As long as I'm here, I won't let you be in any danger. Zhou Gongzi said with concern as he walked. He even put on a smile that he thought could charm thousands of girls. However, his smile soon froze. This was because Murong Qingcheng was not charmed by his smile. She did not even look at him. The beautiful purple-clothed woman ignored Zhou Gongzi, her beautiful eyes looking straight ahead. There was a white jade spiritual boat in front of them. A young man and a young woman were standing on the spiritual boat. The people around them also noticed this strange scene and quickly whispered among themselves. Zhou Gongzi, on the other hand, was stunned. His handsome face was extremely stiff at this moment. Impossible! Why is Qingcheng ignoring me? Is it because I don't look good with my smile? Or is it because I don't care enough? Zhou Gongzi could not believe it. He quickly took a deep breath and shouted again, Qingcheng. However, Murong Qingcheng still ignored him. This scene made Zhou Gongzi feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. An ominous feeling rose in his heart. Although Murong Qingcheng had not promised him anything before this, the two of them were still on good terms. At the very least, they were still polite on the surface. However, Murong Qingcheng had completely ignored him. She had even ignored him. He could not accept this huge change. He suddenly turned around, and his eyes became unusually sharp. He wanted to see who had attracted Murong Qingcheng. However, when he saw the person behind him, he heaved a sigh of relief. This was because he could tell that Murong Qingcheng's gaze was on Lin Xian, and Lin Xian, ninth young master, was not the only one who saw it. The surrounding cultivators had all seen it. Could it be that this Lin Xian duo also stole Murong Qingcheng's things? It can't be. He even dares to offend the Murong family? For a moment, the corners of everyone's mouths twitched, and their expressions were strange. Because of Lin Xian's previous behavior, they subconsciously thought that Lin Xian must have offended Murong Qingcheng, which was why such a strange phenomenon happened at this moment. Zhou Gongzi's smile returned. He stared at Lin Xian with a cold glint in his eyes. Damned brat! How dare he offend Qingcheng? If you don't want to die, then obediently kneel and kowtow to Qingcheng and apologize. Otherwise, I will let you know how powerful I am. At the end of his words, a terrifying aura rose from Zhou Gongzi's body. Lin Xian was originally their family's enemy. However, for the sake of Pine Hall, they had not made a move yet. But now, Lin Xian had actually dared to offend Murong Qingcheng. This was something that Zhou Gongzi could not tolerate. So now, he was going to make a move on Lin Xian. However, at this moment, Murong Qingcheng shouted, "Stop!" Zhou Gongzi's raised hand stopped in midair when he heard this. He turned his head and said with a smile, "Qingcheng, don't worry. Dealing with a little thief is as easy as moving my fingers. It won't take much time. Since this brat dared to offend you, I will make him pay a painful price. Jiu Gongzi was very excited to stand up for Morong Qingcheng, although 13th young master, and the others had suffered at the hands of Lin Xian. Jiu Gongzi was much stronger than 13th young master, so he had absolute confidence in dealing with Lin Xian. However, Morong Qingcheng frowned when she heard Jiu Gongzi's words. When she saw Jiu Gongzi walking forward, she finally could not hold it in anymore. I told you to stop. What's my relationship with you? Why do I need you to stand up for me? Besides, do you know what's the relationship between me and him? Who told you that I have a grudge against him? Jiu Gongzi was stunned by the series of questions. In fact, he was not the only one who was stunned. Everyone around him was stunned. They could not understand how things had turned out this way. What's the relationship between these two? Someone did not understand. You don't know? They are both disciples of Senma College. Someone said, it's not that simple. Look at Morong Qingcheng's gaze. It's definitely not as simple as being from the same sect. Someone else said. In short, everyone was talking about it. Jiu Gongzi's face darkened when he heard this. He looked at Morong Qingcheng again and found that there was a different emotion in her eyes. Could it be? Jiu Gongzi's heart sank. A bad feeling rose from the bottom of his heart. His face instantly turned pale. Morong Qingcheng's gaze lingered on Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. No one could tell what she was thinking. Zhao Shui was expressionless when she felt Morong Qingcheng's gaze. Lin Xian rubbed his nose helplessly. He was about to explain something when Morong Qingcheng snorted. Humph, I'll deal with you when we get out. She rolled her eyes at Lin Xian and then led the Morong family to the vicinity of the giant city. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. They had never seen Morong Qingcheng act like a little girl. Only people who were very close to her could act like this. It seemed that the relationship between these two was not ordinary. Everyone had different expressions, but Jiu Gongzi's face was terrifyingly gloomy. He had known Morong Qingcheng for many years, but he had never seen Morong Qingcheng act so intimately with anyone. But now, Morong Qingcheng was acting like this in front of so many people. And that person was not him. He could not tolerate this. Brat, how dare you steal my woman? You must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts. I'm going to pull out your tendons and pull out your bones. I'm going to break your bones piece by piece. Jiu Gongzi's face was ferocious, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. He's going crazy. If Morong Qingcheng was stronger than him, then so be it. But Morong Qingcheng was clearly a piece of trash who was inferior to him in every way. Whether it was cultivation, status, or talent, Morong Qingcheng was inferior to him. How could such a piece of trash win Morong Qingcheng's favor? He could not understand. So, in his opinion, Morong Qingcheng must have used some despicable means to bewitch Morong Qingcheng. Brat, I want you dead. Jiu Gongzi's murderous intent was so intense that it formed a solid light that enveloped the surroundings. Feeling this murderous intent, the surrounding martial artists trembled, and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. It seemed that Jiu Gongzi was really angry. Lin Xian naturally felt this murderous intent as well. His face immediately darkened, and sword light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 1176. Ninth Young Lord. At this moment, an elder quickly arrived in front of Ninth Young Lord and stopped him. Right now, the most important thing is to enter Pine Palace. We'll talk about other things later. Also, Lin Xian is very strange. His cultivation is not high, but his battle strength is terrifyingly high. What do you mean? Do you think I can't beat him? Ninth Young Lord's face darkened. That's not what I meant. What I meant was that if the two of you fight, the surrounding forces will definitely not just stand by and watch. They might even attack you. When that happens, we will be in a very passive position. Anyway, that brat can't run away. It won't be too late to kill him after we get the treasure. Ninth young lord's eyes flashed when he heard this. In the end, he nodded fiercely. Since that's the case, we'll do as Elder Qingshan says. Then he turned his head and stared at Lin Xian again. Brat, I'll let you live a little longer. How dare you steal my woman? No one in this world can save you. With that, he snorted coldly and walked back into the Shen family's group. As ninth young lord returned to the Shen family's group, the scene quieted down again. Everyone waited quietly for the exploration teams to return. Not long after, a few small teams flew out of the hole in the huge city. These people's auras were chaotic, and some of them were charred. It was obvious that they had encountered some trouble. How is it? Did you investigate thoroughly? Yan Feng stared at the figure from the Palace of Gods of War and asked. At the same time, the elder from Merry Woods asked in a deep voice. This was because they had also sent out an exploration team. We've investigated thoroughly. This is indeed Pine Palace. It seems that no one has entered before. However, although the Heaven Nether Bird destroyed some of it, there are still many powerful restrictions inside. The exploration teams quickly reported their findings to their superiors. The people from Merry Woods did not hide anything. They knew that Pine Palace was not something that they could swallow alone. If necessary, they would need to join forces with other forces to break some ancient restrictions. Thus, they shared the information. After everyone received the information, they quickly digested it. At this time, the people from the Palace of Gods of War began to move. Due to the dangers inside Pine Palace, they only sent out martial artists above the sixth sky of Venerables. These martial artists were the elites of their families. They were powerful and should be able to deal with the situation inside. Soon, the people from the Palace of Ares entered the cave. The people from Merry Woods did not hesitate and followed him into the cave. Then, the Murong family, the Divine Bird Palace, and other forces entered one after another. However, during this process, Lin Xian did not see the main force of Senma College. Although he was surprised, he was not too surprised, because the Hidden Sky's secret realm was extremely vast. The treasures inside would definitely not be limited to the Dark Pine Hall. Perhaps the people of Senma College were seeking opportunities elsewhere. Moreover, the Pine Palace was filled with danger. There was also the ancient ferocious beast, the Heavenly Netherbird. It was extremely dangerous. Perhaps this was one of the reasons why the people from Senma College did not come. In fact, it wasn't just Senma College that hadn't come. There were a few other major powers that hadn't come. Moreover, Lin Xian took a look at the forces that had come here. Not all of them were present. They must have left some of their members outside to avoid being completely annihilated. Lin Xian also knew that it was extremely dangerous inside, but he had no other choice. He took a deep breath and quickly entered the cave with Zhao Shui. Just as they approached the cave, Lin Xian felt the terrifying aura of the remaining black flames nearby. Although it was only a trace of it, it was extremely terrifying. Even a 7th-level venerable would have to be careful when dealing with it. If they were not careful, they could be burned. However, Lin Xian was not afraid. Instead, he was somewhat happy. With a wave of his hand, he gathered all the surrounding black flames to his body. When the martial artists behind saw this scene, their eyelids twitched, and they stopped. Is this guy crazy? How dare he provoke so many black flames? These people looked at Lin Xian's figure and were shocked. They quickly distanced themselves to avoid being dragged down by Lin Xian. He's really courting death. This is the flame left behind by the Heavenly Netherbird. Its power is extremely terrifying. Although it's only a trace of it, it's extremely terrifying. It's not something that ordinary people can fight against. Many people shook their heads. Indeed, the martial artists from before had all activated their defenses and carefully passed through the black flames. No one dared to provoke them. Even the 7th-level venerables did not dare to do so. However, Lin Xian had gathered all the surrounding black flames and attracted them to his body. Wasn't he playing with fire? However, the scene of Lin Xian being burned did not happen. When the black flames covered Lin Xian's body, they did not burn fiercely. Instead, they became much dimmer. It seemed to have been absorbed. Absorbed? How is that possible? Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. Someone dared to absorb the heavenly Netherbird's flames? Isn't he courting death? Impossible. This boy must have used some sort of method to extinguish the flames. Everyone was shocked and doubtful. However, when they wanted to investigate, Lin Xian's figure had already disappeared into the cave. After entering the cave, Lin Xian ran all the way. The remaining aura of the black flames could be seen everywhere.